Welcome back to another UCL Fantasy Deadline stream, this time at a Matchday 16, the second leg of the Champions League semi-finals, and we're going to get the lineups very shortly for Arsenal and Atlético Madrid. For the game tomorrow, we're only going to have predicted lineups, but we have a good sense of what's going to happen there. The big absentee is Achraf Hakimi, of course, and I've still got him in my current UCL Fantasy setup. That's the only transfer I'm sure about, and even then, who do I replace him with? Upamecano, maybe Hincapié, or I go for Nuno Mendes as a like-for-like replacement. And I'm going to show you some polls I put out on my channel earlier today, and that's going to help you with your final decisions as well. And welcome aboard, because I've been covering UCL Fantasy for the past 6 years now. The same goes for FPL, and the plan is to do multiple uploads before Double Game Week 36, like the transfer tips, the best wildcard squad, and my team selection. If you also want to see the free hit team covered, then let me know in the live chat and show support to this channel by liking and subscribing. A big goal we want to reach today is 39,000 subscribers. We are around 50 to 60 away, so let's be sure to hit that by the end of this deadline stream. It would be massively appreciated and a great way to wrap up this season. And we're not going to stop there, because with the World Cup over the summer, a lot of people are voicing their desire for World Cup fantasy content, if you will, on the channel, and that's where we could reach 40k on the platform in the next month or so, and that would be another milestone to tick off as we approach the new season as well. Check all the links in the description, my Patreon and the championships, for likes to my videos, proud to comments, amongst my other perks. There's also my Discord server, the UCL Fantasy League, which is one of the biggest in the world. The code is SEINOF, and check out my Spotify. Follow me on that platform and leave a 5-star review. There are many different ways to engage with this great community for both UCL Fantasy and FPL. And let's just start off with the questions, and afterwards I'll show you some different data points like the clean sheet odds and the top 10 captains. Falcon says, "Hi, let's go. Unsure I need any transfers." You're not the only one, mate. My team: Kane, Luis Diaz, Alvarez, Elise, Vitinia, Rice, Kvaratskhelia, Saka, Marquinhos, Bacho, Nuno Mendes, Gabriel, Saliba, Neuer, Raya. Replace Alvarez with Dembele. It is a very luxury transfer, and I'm also in two minds about it. So, yeah, that could definitely backfire, and it could go the other way as well, by the way. The same goes for Gyökeres, who would be another enticing pick. Be very mindful about the Tuesday-Wednesday balance. I'm not saying that you should base your entire transfer policy and decisions on that, but I think a lot of people, after making their transfers today, will end up having only 4 or 5 players on the Tuesday, which isn't horrific or catastrophic, but it does reduce the potency of substitutions. And this will be the final time this season that we can change the captaincy, go for a Tuesday option first, and then switch to a Wednesday option if needed. And the same goes for making subs in the first place, because for Matchday 17, you can't fully utilize your squad that way, and that's why the Limitless is even less appealing by that stage of the season. So I think with what you've said, that's probably the best transfer to make. Arguably Victor Gyökeres as well, if you're backing Arsenal to go through or score some goals today. So with Alvarez, of course, there are some doubts about his fitness. He's going to start, though. I'm very confident about that. He's in the squad, and he's such a big player for Atlético Madrid. There's no way he's going to miss this game. But could the minutes be managed, especially if Atlético Madrid go ahead or are trying to fight for penalties, if you will? I mean, that's another story in of itself. Even Sorloth has his own injury problems at the moment, which is why he didn't feature in the first leg. So I think from all the players you've mentioned, that's the one I'd look at, and possibly selling one of your PSG defenders, even though they're all good in isolation. Maybe selling Marquinhos to either Upamecano or another Arsenal defender could be a different way of going about it. If you're quite worried about your lack of Atlético Madrid coverage, especially if you sell Alvarez, then maybe Ruggeri could be a decent transfer, but I wouldn't really classify him as an upgrade on the PSG defenders, even Marquinhos, for Matchday 16 specifically. So let me know your thoughts there, Falcon. It's definitely an interesting one this week, and in many cases, sometimes making no transfer is better than just forcing it. Thank you always for your insights and videos. Cheers from Dubai. Much appreciated, Falcon. Thank you for being a member for so long as well. That's where you got that nice little X badge. Level 60, if you know, you know. But big up to you in the community, and all the best for Matchday 16. Isaiah as well says, "Hi Dylan, my team is Raya, João Garcia, haven't heard his name in a while, Ruggeri, Gabriel, White, Upamecano, Hakimi, Doué, Vitinia, Kvaratskhelia, Saka, Elise, Kane, Alvarez, Dembele. With 2 transfers left, which changes do you recommend?" Well, the ones that stand out are Ben White, who I don't think will start tonight. I think it's going to be Mosquera. And even though it's not a great transfer, well, you've got João Garcia, but I'd probably just leave him at this point, because you've got Hakimi who's injured. So Sell Hakimi and White. I think the rest could be held on to, even if there are debates about Alvarez to Luis Diaz or Gyökeres in your case. I'd probably stick with what you have up front and sell Hakimi and Ben White. So that's where you could go for Saliba. And I think I would also go for either Nuno Mendes or Bacho. That'd be my recommendation to you. Let me know your thoughts in the live chat, but yeah, that's what I'd go for. Yeah, thank you, Easy. How did Chelsea get on yesterday, by the way? Do you want to tell me? Hakimi injured. Yes, I covered this in my videos. So he picked up that problem in the first leg, and shortly afterwards it was confirmed by multiple reports that Hakimi would miss the second leg. So it's a massive blow for Paris Saint-Germain. He has been flagged for a while on the UCL Fantasy app and website, so they were very quick to update that for sure. Well, the final's in a couple of weeks' time, at the end of May. But let's focus on this one first. It's a bit like people talking about, Arsenal and stuff. Like, let's get through this game first, and then we can talk about the Champions League final. But yeah, the 30th of May is the official date, and the plan is to cover that as usual. Yeah, we've still got plenty of time, but as we all know, time does fly, especially when we're having fun. Ahmed says, hi Dylan, my team is Dembele, Kane, Alvarez, Lookman, Saka, Kvaratskhelia, Tar, Bacho, Ruggeri, Gabriel, Raya, Safanov, Doué, Elisa, Hakimi, 2.7 million and free transfers. What is your advice? Yeah, so in a lot of cases, there aren't transfers that you have to make, except for Hakimi, really. So he's the obvious one. And based on your current structure, I would probably buy an Arsenal defender and triple up on the Gunners defensively. That could also push you towards selling one of Alvarez or Lookman, which I would be open to. You've got Saka already, which is promising. But I'm not sure. Okay, yeah, you've ordered your bench correctly, if you will. So you've got some Wednesday players there. That's fair enough. Yeah, I think I'd sell an Aleti attacker. You've already got 3 Aleti players overall. Now, ultimately, it's down to you. You might believe Aleti go through, or at least get some fantasy points, those 3 players. So you don't have to sell them, but I would probably be open to selling one of Alvarez, Lookman, or Ruggeri. But Hakimi is definitely the priority for you. I think with your goalkeepers, keep it as it is, even though if I was building a team fresh, you saw it in my best team video yesterday, of course, I would probably pick Neuer over Safanov, but there's not much in it, and it's just ultimately a way of covering Bayern Munich defensively, and you've already got that with Jonathan Tah regardless, but yeah, I think Bayern could go through tomorrow. That is probably my prediction, even though it's a coin flip. Josh says, yo, Dylan, hope you're well. Very happy I'm here for the stream. Much appreciated, and it's good to see you. The same goes for Baraf. Oh, what the hell happened there? What's your prediction today? 2-0 Arsenal, but I wouldn't have said that before the Fulham game because Arsenal were very impressive on that occasion, and I'm well aware that facing Fulham at home is different to Aleti, but Arsenal beat Aleti 4-0 early in the season, and it's just about finding that level again. Lewis Mark saying, Man City bottlers. Well, incredible game last night. Let's take it one step at a time. Arsenal, if they can get through this week, beating Atlético Madrid and West Ham, it's a completely different ball game, and that's where anything's possible for the Gunners. But they need to win the next 2 matches, and I think the West Ham game is the most difficult match that Arsenal have left in the Premier League this season, but they can't take anyone lightly. The end is near. They're in full control of the title race. Get it done now. My prediction is whoever scores first will win 3-1. Yeah, I think the first goal is very important. Ultimately, Arsenal have home advantage, and they know they can beat Atlético Madrid, and they're the only unbeaten side in the Champions League this season. So yeah, they have a very impressive record. Can we all please, Arsenal game not going to extra time? I hope it doesn't. I hope Arsenal get it done in 90, but as long as they get through to the Champions League final, that's the most important. Any essentials this week? Well, Kane, Kvaratskhelia, an Arsenal attacker like Gyökeres or Saka. I don't think having both is necessary, but at least one would be quite enticing. I think having 2 or 3 Arsenal defenders, maybe I'm being a bit too bullish on the Gunners, and ultimately you don't have to do that, but the Arsenal-Atletico game is probably going to be lower scoring again, but I don't think PSG Bayern will produce 9 goals again, and I'd be happy proven wrong on that front, but yeah, I still like those attackers I mentioned, probably Elise, but I don't think anybody else from Bayern is essential, to be honest. I like Upamecano, but I don't think a clean sheet will happen from either team, so yeah, I think the main essentials, if you will, would be those PSG and Bayern forwards and midfielders. Doué's not bad, but I wouldn't call him essential. But I do think he's quite underrated. I highlighted him before the Matchday 15 deadline, but I'd probably say some Arsenal coverage, particularly defensively. Thank you, Harrison James. Big up, Dylan. Would you go Doué or Vitinia out for Saka, Eze? Probably Vitinia out for Saka, even though Vitinia has 92 points, which is 4th amongst all players. I just think the ceiling isn't as high in this game against Bayern Munich unless he gets a penalty. And there's no doubt that Vitinia has many routes to points like Player of the Match awards, but he's only got one this season when he scored a hat-trick against Tottenham, and I don't think he's going to score a hat-trick tomorrow night, to be fair. Ball recoveries, he's very impressive. He's 3rd amongst all players, but I think Doué's more likely to score. And Saka looked electric against Fulham. He only played 45 minutes, but he got the job done. That's his best performance in many months, to be fair. And I think the injuries have definitely hampered Saka's progress. So at 5% ownership, I'm very, very encouraged by Saka. And before Matchday 15, by the way, which is when I bought Saka in, I talked about this game at home with his brilliant Emirates record in the Champions League as being a great opportunity to maybe captain Saka or at least have him in your squad. Eze is still good, of course, and he's had many brilliant moments this season, but I think Saka's the one. Are you confident in winning the league title now? I wouldn't say confident because with Arsenal, we always make it complicated, but yeah, after yesterday and most importantly, the game on Saturday, yeah, I've got more confidence than I had before that because I'd say since, well, March in terms of results and probably since January with performances, I've been quite concerned with Arsenal for a while, even when they were fighting on all fronts. Hello, hello. Arsenal will win for sure. I hope so, but yeah, it's still not going to be easy, and it's all about the next match against West Ham, really, when it comes to the Premier League. But yeah, it's difficult to even think about that now with such a big game tonight. Nice program, house music intro. Thank you very much. That's from my cousin. I'll drop a link, actually, if I can. And I'm pretty sure I've done that before. Let's see if I can get it up for you. So yeah, this is the actual song. So I'm going to drop it in the live chat right now. Wei-Sing trying to jinx us. Relax, man. I know about you. Having 2 or 3 Arsenal players and jinxing us. Calma, calma. Welcome, FPL Hippie. Always a pleasure. The longest intro ever. Behave. When Arsenal win the league later, an Arsenal song intro to celebrate the win. I'd be copyright striked, so, or copyright claimed. I'd rather avoid that. That ain't prog house. Yeah, it's... I'd have to ask my cousin, really, but it's a different sort of genre. It's very good, though. Chaos Snack Pack says Atletico will win. That's a rare opinion, or at least most people in the chat wouldn't agree, but that's what football is about. And maybe. You can't discount Atletico Madrid. You really can't. They've got great forwards like Lookman and Alvarez, so I think anything's possible at this point. Okay, that's weird. Let's see if this works, by the way. I think the chat itself is frozen on the right-hand side, so let's see if that ends up working. Yeah, I think I've sorted it now. Kind of a weird issue. Welcome, Johnny. Good to see you. I'm waiting for the lineup to switch out Timber. Yeah, Timber will not be there. Odegaard and Havertz will be in the squad, but Timber is still out. So, yeah, it makes sense because you could see if Mosquera or White start, it will likely be Mosquera. But I think the best ways of covering Arsenal defensively are with Gabriel, Raya, and Saliba in that order. I'm quite bullish on that. Already a subscriber from a long time. Great work. Much appreciated. And yeah, people from all over the world tuning in. Obviously, you're from India and people are from Colombia and all these different countries. It's just, yeah, very, I'd say, blessing. And it's great talking to people even from all over the world, and some waking up at ridiculous times just to watch the football or tune into the streams, which is always a pleasure. Need to replace Hakimi, time for Hincapié. He'd be 4th in my list for Arsenal defenders / ways of covering their defence. So after Saliba, he'd be next in line, and Mosquera would be 5th. Welcome, Kai. Yes, come on, you Gunners. Nice to see the countdown clock is working. Yeah, for the last stream anyway. It wasn't from the beginning. But yeah, the chat decided to bug out, so there's always something, isn't there? Roberta says Nuno, Upamecano, or Hincapié. I already have White, Saliba, Gabriel, Raya. I don't think White will start, so I would be a bit cautious about that one. But for your last question, I prefer Luis Diaz this week, and that's why my top 10 captaincy list, which I talked about in my best team video, I put Diaz further ahead. For the defender question, considering that you've got triple Arsenal defence already, technically quadruple, I would go for probably Nuno Mendes, but I'm not sure who your other defender is. You've mentioned 3 of them there, but I'm not sure if you got Bacho or, let's say, Jonathan Tah, so let me know. But I would ideally have a balance and have one Bayern defender, one or two from PSG. I think in isolation they're better fantasy assets, and the rest would be from Arsenal. That'd be my recommendation anyway. ¿Quién es mejor capitán para hoy? Gabriel. Creo que es el más seguro. Y él hizo un gol y asistencia contra el Atlético Madrid en la jornada 3 en esta temporada. También puede recuperar el balón. Tiene 52 para esta temporada y 7 vallas invictas, que es muy, muy bueno, pero para mí sería entre Gyökeres y Bukayo Saka. Ben White looks finished. He had a very weird game. He had some really good moments on the ball, and I like his passing and his chemistry and connection with Saka, but unfortunately, I think physically you might be right, and I can't really blame him or sort of dig into Ben White too much because he's basically played through injury for many months and then had surgery and had all these injury problems. And yeah, Arsenal have this pattern where they've got two quality fullbacks, but then one of them's always injured, so one is overplayed, and then that person gets injured, and the other one comes back, but then they're worse off. We're seeing that with Calafiori and Hincapié maybe to a certain extent, although they're still performing at a high level. Unfortunately, Calafiori's getting injured quite a lot. And yeah, on the right-hand side, Timber, White, Tomiyasu once upon a time. So yeah, hopefully they can stay fit, but football is full of injuries, unfortunately. Hancock or Upamecano? Definitely Upamecano for me. I also think Bayern are more likely to go through to the final and win the competition. So yeah, in terms of fantasy points too, ball recoveries, goal contributions, I think Upamecano is clear. Without Hakimi, Bayern will advance just like Barca losing Koundé last year. Yeah, that could be a deciding factor. That's a good point. I think Bayern will go through regardless, even if Hakimi was there, but it's going to be fine margins, could go to extra time or penalties, but I think Bayern will edge it. Nuno Mendes or Hincapié for Hakimi? Depends on who you have already. So if you have Gabriel and Raya, I wouldn't mind having Hincapié as a third Arsenal option, but if you already have 3, which includes Saliba, then in that case I'd go for Nuno Mendes, who has 79 points anyway, the second most ball recoveries. Would I buy Doué for Vitinia? I did say no last time out, and obviously Doué outscored him quite comfortably, but I did highlight my preference for Doué for that particular game and matchup. I just think Vitinia has more about him. He's a bit more consistent, but Doué is more likely to score. There's no denying it. So difficult one there with the last one, but I'd probably keep Vitinia still. And for the first question, I'd lean towards Hincapié, but it depends on your current squad structure. Gyökeres or Alvarez? For this game only, dare I say, Victor Gyökeres. Welcome, Matiu. Hola, Dylan. Buenas tardes. ¿Ves bien mi delantera? Dembele y Kenny Alvarez. Seguramente. Para mí es el mejor... los 3 mejores delanteros en este momento. Pero para la jornada 16 está Gyökeres y Luis Díaz, que quizás son mejor o sean mejores que Alvarez. Pero es muy difícil como negar a Alvarez cuando tiene 94 puntos, 3 premios de mejor jugador. Es muy, muy consistente, muchos goles y asistencias, 14 en total. Yo estoy en una posición muy parecida a tuya y no me gusta la idea de vender a Alvarez para Luis Díaz o Gyökeres y Dembele, porque yo sé cómo puede pasar, cómo puede suceder las cosas, y Alvarez seguramente va a ser el mejor jugador de Atlético Madrid para este partido, y si llegan a la final, para ese partido también. Así que te puedo entender, yo también estoy en duda. En mi video de ayer yo hablé de la idea de venderlo para Dembele. Así que en tu caso creo que mantendría a Alvarez, pero me gusta mucho Luis Díaz, te digo la verdad. Y también que tenga 17%, creo que sí, como con ownership tiene 17%, así que para mí es una buena diferencial, pero yo mantendría a Alvarez. Unfortunately, Ben White has been Tomiyasu fitness-wise. Yeah, good comparison, and they're both good players, by the way. And I still think Ben White has something to offer. Maybe his future should be back in central defence instead of on the right-hand side. But the game will still be close, though. Yeah, agreed. I think there'll only be 1 or 2 goals in it. Even with the Arsenal-Atletico Madrid game, if we even get goals, yeah, I think there'll be 1 or 2 goals in it. But don't be surprised by one of these games going through to extra time and penalties. Vitinia or Musiala? I'd still go for Vitinia. haven't been impressed by Musiala recently. Don't predict Arsenal, you might jinx it. I mean, I don't want to say anything, but basically, whenever I predict a certain scoreline, Arsenal drop points. But when I predict a certain scoreline, which includes a win, they end up winning. So, yeah, I've got my... I'm doing everything possible, like superstitions, like Diego Simeone. He's not even going to the same hotel with Atlético Madrid because they lost 4-0 to Arsenal last time they travelled there. So, yeah, I'm quite similar there. Argentinians are very superstitious. Easy says it's going downhill for Chelsea when Blue Coast starting involved. Well, I've said this all along. Roman Abramovich is probably the most important figure in Chelsea's history, and since he left, it hasn't been the same there. Welcome, Oogie Boogie. I'm late. I wouldn't say you're late. You're just in time, but thank you very much for the super chat. No Dembele last match day, but Gyökeres kept me 15k. Yeah, very good rank, and Gyökeres did his thing, so you can't really dispute him there. I went for Alvarez over Dembele, so I bought the Argentine, and that was a bit frustrating. A 10-point swing between them, but I also think, well, the penalties that both players got were quite soft, to say the least, and that ultimately swung things a little bit, but yeah. I don't have Dembele either. I'm tempted to buy him, but I don't see a real need to do so, even after the last two game weeks where he was the highest scoring player, both for matchday 14 and 15. So I think that's the biggest decision to make this week, whether we keep Alvarez and then sell to Diaz, as someone mentioned earlier, or possibly Dembele or Victor Gyökeres, but try to have 5 to 7 Tuesday players if possible. That's something that goes to everyone watching. But you don't have to have a specific amount of players. It's just, if you have 4 or fewer, that's where the substitutions aren't going to be as powerful, and you might have a lot of blankers by the end of the match day. Hakimi to Upamecano, Vitinia to Saka, and Alvarez for Dembele. Yeah, looks good, and there's no denying that Vitinia has been far better than Saka in UCL Fantasy this season, but for this game in particular, I think Saka's an upgrade. Hakimi to Upamecano, I'm looking at something very similar. And yeah, Alvarez for Dembele is something I talked about in my team selection podcast yesterday. So yeah, I like all of them. They make a lot of sense. And by the way, very soon I will go through the lineups. We should get them in 40 minutes time. But before I do that, let me go through some different screens. And that includes the UCL Fantasy Mini League, which will be up next. So the code is SEINOF. There is an auto join link in the description. The same goes for all of my UCL Fantasy videos. And for Predict 6, people have asked me, what's your predictions? Arsenal 2, Atlético Madrid 0. That is still a very difficult game to call. So I've put Arsenal to score first. No assist for Odegaard. He's not even going to start the game anyway, but he should be in the squad. Declan Rice player of the match, which might surprise you. Will Alvarez score in the second half? I've put no, and he's in my fantasy team right now, and I really hope he doesn't. Will there be a goal in extra time? I said the match won't go to extra time. Look at me. And I made these predictions before the Everton-Man City game. I mean, what correlation does that have? Well, I think it gives a boost to the Gunners, more belief in winning the title, and they're back in control of the title race. Get it done, Arsenal, for once. Bayern Munich 3, PSG 2. I've put 1-1 at half-time. Will either Kane or Kvaratskhelia score? Yes, I'm very confident about that. Will there be a red card? No. Hopefully that we don't get a red card. Will there be 5 or more goals? Just about. I've put yes. And will there be a penalty shootout? I've gone for yes, but it could just be an extra time and things materialize that way. But yeah, both games are evenly matched and finally poised for the second legs here. So even these predictions for Predict 6 could end up changing a little bit. Let's go for some news. So Arteta confirms that both Kai Havertz and Martin Odegaard are in the squad for tomorrow's game. I alluded to it earlier in this stream, so you've got the confirmation there from the press conference Arteta had yesterday. And this is Atlético Madrid's squad list, which includes Musso, Jimenez, Ruggeri, Mendoza, Johnny, Koke, Griezmann, Sorloth, Alex Baena, Almada, Oblak, Llorente, Lenglet, Molina, Hanko, Bubil, Alvarez, Giuliano Simeone, Vargas, Lookman, Lenormand, Echeviel, Boniar, Julio Diaz, and Iker Luque. So this is the likely starting 11. I'm only going to show it once because we're going to get the official one in just a couple of minutes' time. So Atletico will likely line up with Oblak, Bubil, Lenormand, Hanko, and Ruggeri, Llorente, Koke, Cardoso, and Lookman, with Griezmann and Alvarez up front. Now for Bayern Munich, they have a full squad available for tomorrow's game, with the exception of Serge Gnabry. And this is PSG squad list with Beraldo, Marquinhos, Zabani, Kvaratskhelia, Fabian Ruiz, Gonzalo Ramos, Dembele, Doué, Vitinia, Kang In Lee, Lucas Hernandez, Mayulu, Nuno Mendes, Dro Fernandez, Barcola, Zaire Emery, Safanov, Mbai, Bacho, Vignaud, Lorendon, João Neves, and Renato Marin, who actually started, by the way, over the weekend. PSG made wholesale changes. The only sort of reliable starter or consistent starter, well, there were two, Doué and Bacho. Barcola is another one who gets in and out of that team, but the rest were pretty much fringe players, and Zaire Emery scored off the bench in that 2-2 draw against Lorient. So let's go through the predicted lineups very quickly, but as I mentioned before, Arsenal, Atlético Madrid will be confirmed very soon. So for Arsenal, UEFA think that Raya, White, Saliba, Gabriel, Hincapié, Zubimendi, Rice, Eze, Saka, Gyökeres and Martinelli will start. I personally think Mosquera will start over White, but I also thought this for the first leg, and he didn't. So Marino and Timber are out. And yeah, the rest are available now. So Odegaard and Havertz will be in the squad. For Atletico Madrid, Oblak, Llorente, Bobil, Lenormand, Ruggeri, Simeone, Koke, Cardoso, Lookman, Alvarez and Griezmann. So identical to what I just showed you. Barrios, Jimenez and Gonzalez are out. I believe Jimenez is available now though. So just to go back to this. Is Jimenez there? I thought I read out his name, but yeah. Yeah, he is. He's the second name there. But the other two are out. That's confirmed. Gonzalez and Barrios. Sorloth is doubtful, but he has been included in the squad. So for tomorrow's game, Bayern Munich will likely go for Neuer, Stanisic, Upamecano, Tar, Lima, Kimmich, Pavlovic, Elise, Musiala, Luis Diaz and Harry Kane. Gnabry is the only injured player. And for Paris Saint-Germain, Safanov, Zaire Emery at right back, Marquinhos, Bacho, Nuno Mendes, Vitinia, João Neves, Fabian Ruiz, Doué, Dembele, and Kvaratskhelia. The two players who are unavailable include Chevalier and, most importantly, Hakimi with a thigh injury. That is a massive blow for the reigning European champions. So let's go to my team selection graphics once and once only, really. I did talk about this in my team selection podcast yesterday, and this is a review of Matchday 15, which you can see how I performed last time out. It was still a disappointing game week overall because, well, I was getting quite a few green arrows recently, and this was actually a small red arrow in the end. All of my defenders technically blanked, and to be fair, Upamecano was the only one who delivered on that front, but at least my forward line also produced. The problem is, I had an opportunity to buy Dembele, and I went for Alvarez, which cost me 10 points in the end. I captained Kvaratskhelia, who is my highest scoring player in the starting 11, and across my entire 15-man squad. Doué, Elise also produced returns, so very happy with them, and ball recoveries from several options, particularly in my defence. So everyone on my bench blanked. Safanov, Saka, Bacho and Hakimi, who is now injured. Alvarez's flag has been removed, which I highlighted in the graphic in yesterday's team selection video. So these are my transfer plans. Hakimi to Upamecano is the most likely because I've already got Raya, Gabriel and Saliba. Otherwise, my priority would have been to triple up on the Arsenal defence with Piero Hincapié, which I could still do, by the way. But Alvarez to Dembele is quite tempting for me. And if I want to maintain that Tuesday-Wednesday balance I currently have, I could go to Victor Gyökeres, but that does seem like a very risky transfer. Alvarez is more template, if you will, with around 25% ownership, and he's got 94 fantasy points. And Gyökeres has been impressive recently, at least for the last two matches across all competitions, with 3 attacking returns, but Alvarez has been consistent in the Champions League all season. Now, if I really wanted to get Hincapié, I can still do it by selling Ruggeri, but that would leave me with 0 Aleti players, assuming that I also sell Julian Alvarez, and that could put me in a very precarious situation for the Champions League final, especially if it's Bayern Munich, who I think will go through, facing Atletico Madrid, because at the moment I've got, well, Upamecano will likely come in, Diaz, Kane and Elise, so that's 4 players, and if I end up having 0 from Atletico Madrid, yeah, that's not looking great, and I'm not even going to fill out the entire starting 11 for Matchday 17, which you've got to be very mindful about, because what I just mentioned here with my transfer plans, it might look good for this match day, but it leaves me short for the Champions League final. So you want to strike that right balance there across both game weeks. So with all of this in mind, this is my provisional team selection, only using 2 of the 3 transfers I discussed, with Raya in goal facing Atletico Madrid. Saliba, Gabriel and Ruggeri, I'll likely keep him in the end, with Saka, Elise, Doué and Kvaratskhelia. I'm very happy with all 4 of them. And this front 3 is incredible, but the same goes for Alvarez, and I think Gyökeres is a promising differential too. Those are the top 5 forwards in the game right now, and I still think it could be worth selling Alvarez to an Ousmane Dembele or Gyökeres here. On my bench, Safanov, Bachor, Upamecano, and Vitinia. So it's a decent balance, but even then, I would only have one Atletico player and 4 from Bayern Munich. So yeah, it's not looking too good. And I'd be down to 10 players for the Champions League final, which is why, in the end, I might just end up holding Alvarez just to cover all bases and hedge my bets a little bit. But with the captaincy, I might go for Saka as a mega differential, 5% ownership, and Gabriel is definitely the safest pick from an Arsenal perspective. He's the highest scoring Arsenal player overall with Gabriel Martinelli, and Alvarez would be the Atletico Madrid talisman, and you could definitely sort of rely on him for the Tuesday. But I don't mind having a differential today because you've got Kane, Dembele, Kvaratskhelia, Doué, Elise for tomorrow's match, even Luis Diaz. They are all brilliant options, and I think the most reliable would be Kane and Kvaratskhelia, and it depends on which team you back a little bit more. And last week I went for Kvaratskhelia, which went fairly well, but Harry Kane has been fantastic with over 50 goals across all competitions. So let's now go to the clean sheet odds and things like that, and show you some different metrics, like the most expensive players. Only 5 cost 9 million or more, and Kane is the only one who has 10 million or higher in terms of his value there, and he definitely justifies it with 4 Player of the Match awards, 8.1 points per match day. You're going to see these metrics as well very soon. And the most selected players, this is the template with Nuno Mendes, Kane, Elise, Raya, and Vitinia. So they're all very reliable choices. And the same goes for these 5 when it comes to ball recoveries. Bachor has 95, Nuno Mendes is 16 behind him, and Vitinia makes up the podium. Marquinhos and Ruggeri both share 60 ball recoveries this season. In terms of points per euro, this essentially means the best value picks in the game, and Bachor is comfortably top with 15.9. Kvaratskhelia skyrocketed to second. He now has 13.2, and Vitinia, Marquinhos, Nuno Mendes completes an entire top 5 of Paris Saint-Germain players. When it comes to points per match day, Kane, Kvaratskhelia are unsurprising names, but Carl might be a bit of a shock to the system. Gabriel and Alvarez finish up the top 5, and they are very good picks here for the Tuesday when it comes to the captaincy. Probably the most secure overall, but I'm quite tempted by Gyökeres and Bukayo Saka. In terms of player of the match points, Kvaratskhelia and Kane both have 4 awards this season, and you get 3 points per award, so 12 additional points overall. Alvarez has 3, and that is very impressive from the Argentine. Nuno Mendes and Elise have earned 2 player of the match awards and 6 points overall. When it comes to the most points across all positions, Kvaratskhelia is the only one with over 100 points so far. Harry Kane will likely join in very soon. Alvarez, Vitinia, and Bachor complete the top 5, and they're all brilliant choices in their own right. With the clean sheet odds, I talked about this yesterday in my Best Team podcast. Arsenal are top with 43%. They are comfortably ahead of Bayern Munich, who are second, and Atletico Madrid are third, but PSG are down to single digits with 8% facing Bayern Munich away. Now, does this impact the top 10 captaincy for you? Is there any defender you would consider captaining? For me, there's only one name that springs to mind in Gabriel Magalhaes. He's in 10th spot with Alvarez in 9th. Doué, Saka and Elise just miss out on the top 5, which consists of Victor Gyökeres, Luis Diaz, Dembele, Kvaratskhelia, and Harry Kane is number 1 this time. I've swapped the top 2 mainly because of home advantage, but they are both in the form of their lives and they produce goal contributions so regularly with 15 apiece. Both Kvaratskhelia and Kane, they are the best fantasy options in the game right now. So they are definitely worth the investment, and I would highly recommend having them if you don't already. So before I go back to your questions, these are the fixtures. So we're going to get the lineup in just a minute or two. So that's going to be the next sort of target. And then we'll go back to your questions. But Arsenal versus Atleti tonight and Bayern versus Paris Saint-Germain tomorrow. Both games hang in the balance. For Arsenal, I think Gabriel is the best option. Raya is probably second, but Gyökeres might be the best option for this match day specifically, which is why he's ranked 5th in the overall captaincy list. He has 3 goals against Atletico Madrid this season, and Alvarez has 94 points. Also 3 player of the match awards, 10 goals, 4 assists. A lot of incredible numbers there, and he's by far the best Atleti option overall. Moving on to the Wednesday game, Harry Kane is the best striker in world football, and in UCL Fantasy it's no different. He has 13 goals, 2 behind Kylian Mbappe, and in terms of players left in the competition, Kane is comfortably ahead of the rest of the pack, and he has 15 attacking returns this season. The same goes for Kvaratskhelia, who has 111 points. I think before, during his time at Napoli, people said he doesn't get enough goal contributions, but now he's doing that, and he's establishing himself as potentially the best left winger in the world right now, and he is definitely a main captaincy contender for the Wednesday match tomorrow. So it's time to go through the lineup, which we should get in the next minute. We're still waiting, actually, for that. So I'll just go back to my team very briefly then, and once that is out, I will go through it. Captain Saka or Gyökeres, so you just saw my captaincy list. I think it's very close. I would lean towards Gyökeres. Lewis Skelly starts. Wow. And White, really? Okay, maybe I was wrong about Ben White then, fair play. So is that the Arsenal team? We're going to go through it soon. We're going to get confirmation, but Raya, White, Saliba, Gabriel, Calafiori, Rice, Lewis Skelly, Eze, Saka, Gyökeres, Trossard. I would be very happy if that was the lineup. I mean, it was a great performance against Fulham, so yeah, if they can do more of the same, I'd be a very happy man. How the hell did Griezmann get man of the match over players like David Raya? Yeah, I didn't necessarily agree with the player of the match award there. I know people had their complaints about Dembele. I thought that was probably more deserved, but yeah, with the Griezmann one, even Declan Rice, I think, would have been a deserving winner, but there you go. Yeah, Saka looked very good on the weekend. It was his best performance in a while. I got that draw versus Lorient right. Yeah, and Bayern Munich drew 3-3 against Heidenheim over the weekend. I have Rice. Would you switch him to Saka? I'm not sure about that because I even sort of highlighted my Predict 6 sort of predictions that Rice could win player of the match. In terms of who's more likely to score and stuff like that, yeah, I get it. I think Saka could be worth the investment, but I do like Declan Rice. Best combo, Alvarez plus Vitinia or Dembele and Lookman? That's a close one. I would probably say Dembele and Lookman for this matchday only. Para hoy, ¿quién sería mejor? Creo que Gyökeres. Por eso mi lista está quinto y Alvarez está noveno. Havertz back makes me less inclined to go Gyökeres for UCL Fantasy and FPL. Yeah, I get that. But Gyökeres will start most games for Arsenal, but it's a good point. Gyökeres was looking good, not Saka. I disagree. I think both of them were outstanding, and they both linked up very well. And yeah, Saka was the one making things happen. He created multiple big chances. He also was taking on his fullback. He absolutely destroyed Raul Jimenez as well in the build-up to the first goal. So yeah, I think Saka had a great game. Saka will be like Musiala last match day. Only time will tell. I hope not. Thanks, Dylan. Hope you have a great day. Likewise, Josh. I'm seriously contemplating Diaz to Dembele. Both high pressers, but Dembele is more of a focal point. Diaz's goal was magic, maybe silly because no Hakimi marking. That's a very good point you make at the end. And Diaz has returned in 6 consecutive Champions League games. So yeah, I think they're both excellent choices. Bayern have the home advantage as well. And with Dembele offering 30 points in the last 2 match days, he can continue. He's very reliable in the bigger stages. We've seen that since last season, but yeah, I think selling any of those players for the other is very risky. The same goes for Alvarez as well. We get 5 free transfers for the Champions League final. It's the same pattern throughout the entire knockout stages, so 3 transfers for the second leg and 5 transfers for the first leg, and the final still counts towards that. Let's now go to the lineups. I'm sure people are sort of crying out for that. And wow, I'm very surprised, especially with Ben White starting. I mean, I probably would have started Mosquera, but I think the belief here is to go for a more attacking setup. But yeah, Lookman could definitely have a bit of joy there against Ben White. And yeah, we'll see what happens there. But I'm really happy with the rest of the starting 11. So for Arsenal, Raya, Saliba, White, Gabriel, Saka, who is the captain, Eze, Gyökeres, Trossard, Calafiori, Rice, and Lewis Skelly. For Atletico Madrid, Oblak, Ruggeri, Koke, Griezmann, Llorente, Hanko, Bobil, Alvarez, Simeone, Lookman, and Lenormand. So I think the more surprising lineup comes from Arsenal, and we should get the formations very soon. That's going to be updated in due course, but wow, let me know your thoughts in the live chat. I'm very happy with that. And yeah, a very attacking and positive lineup from Mikel Arteta. And yeah, Lewis Skelly absolutely deserves to start here. He had a great game against Fulham. I hope he can produce from now until the end of the season and start most games for Arsenal. So no Zubimendi. Wow, Honestly, I'm in disbelief right now. So let's look at the benches for both teams. So for Arsenal, Kepa, Setford, Mosquera, Hincapié, Odegaard, Gabriel Jesus, Martinelli, Norgard, Madueke, Havertz, Zubimendi, and Dalman. A pretty strong bench there for Arsenal. And for Atletico Madrid, Musso, Jimenez, Mendoza, Cardoso, Soloff, Alex Baena, Thiago Almada, Lenglet, Molina, Vargas, Bonyar, and Julio Diaz. Wow. I'm literally in shock, I can't lie. Yeah, let's see how it actually performs, but the other day was very encouraging, and that's what Arsenal fans want to see. Even if there is the odd sort of bad result, obviously not in a very crucial game, there's no time for bad results now, but yeah, that sort of performance you can get behind, so we'll see what happens here. Nottingham Forest could be in the Champions League by winning Europa League. Their performance too good since Vitor Pereira taken over. Yeah, there's been a few up and downs, but the point against City obviously was a highlight, and then beating Chelsea 3-1 away from home with a rotated side, as bad as Chelsea have been, that's very impressive. Best free differentials for this week, Saka. Oof. Saka. Calafiori. And let's go for someone else, not just Arsenal. Desiree Doué. Yeah, I think that could be a good one. It depends what you sort of view as a differential at this stage, but I think anyone with 10, 20% like Dembele could still constitute towards that. So, yeah, definitely the first two would spring to mind. I think Calafiori and Saka, who has 5% ownership right now, probably soon to be 7% or something like that, but still very low at this stage of the campaign. So yeah, you can see the lineups here. I'll leave it on for a little while longer, but yeah, there you go. Okay, time to go back to my team. Wow. So yeah, no Hincapié. It's a good thing I didn't buy him in. I think you have an agenda against Saka, man. What's your problem? Yeah, thank you very much, Mr. Parky, as you say. Get the likes up, and also, let's get to 39,000 subscribers. It would be brilliant to reach that today, and we have made a lot of progress, of course, over the last couple of months, and yeah, even 40k is possible during the summer if I cover the World Cup, which some people want to see, and if you're one of them, then like, subscribe, hype, share, and all that good stuff. Join my Discord server, follow me on Twitter, Instagram, and Blue Sky. You know the drill by now. And there is my UCL Fantasy Mini League as well. We've got thousands of members there, making it one of the very biggest in the world. So let's see what we're on right now. So yeah, we're close to 100 likes. Let's be sure to get that up to 200 plus. It costs nothing, and I've answered a lot of questions already and provided a lot of insight and data. Probablemente va a ser Saka. Creo que Gabriel y Álvarez son los mejores, o lo más seguro, digamos. Pero yo mostré mi lista de los mejores capitanes, y para mí Gyökeres y Saka son quizás los mejores para el martes. Alvarez out for Dembele for you, Dylan. Learn from before, buddy. Yeah, but sometimes you chase last week's points and it doesn't go according to plan. But I am tempted. The problem is, if Atletico Madrid go through, then I could be in big, big trouble. Chevalier's out, so don't go for him. I went through all the injuries and stuff a few minutes ago. Chevalier and Hakimi are out for Paris Saint-Germain, so the starting goalkeeper for PSG will be Safonov again, and he is #1 anyway. Doué or Lookman? I am planning to bring in Saka and Upamecano into my team for Rice and Hakimi. I prefer Doué. I was thinking of getting Gyökeres, Saka and Lookman for Alvarez, Musiala, Martinelli. Yeah, looks good. In terms of other midfielders, apart from the obvious Kvaratskhelia and Vitinias of the world, I think, well, Elise would definitely stand out, and he's very template anyway, but yeah, I would probably consider Doué. I do like him, actually. Okay, so Bruno says A, B, or C. I would say A. Martinelli doesn't start anyway. Yeah, thank you very much. This phase of the competition is a bit boring fantasy-wise because everyone and their dog has the same teams. I get why you think that. It's definitely going to be a bit more restrictive compared to early in the season, but Saka has 5% ownership. So even by the end of this deadline, he's not going to have 20, 30%. So there are opportunities. And even if, for example, Alvarez, there are going to be some differences because you have 3 forward spots to choose from. And some people will sell Alvarez, others will hold on to him. Then there's people buying Dembele, others will go for Luis Diaz or Gyökeres. So there's still room for a bit of, something different. That might not be the case for the final, I do admit, but there's still fun to be had. And you can always go for someone a bit differential, at least one low-owned player to make the difference for you. I have Saka, but I'm thinking to sell Musiala to Eze. I wouldn't be fully against that. I still think Bayern PSG will be higher scoring than Arsenal Atlético Madrid, but yeah, I think Eze is not a bad option. The thing is, if you already got Saka, I'm still a bit hesitant about doubling or tripling up on Arsenal offensively, but if they play like they did on Saturday, I'd be very encouraged by that. Thank you for the super chat. If you have a message, then let me know in a non-super chat and I can go through it. Thank you very much. I prefer Saka. Eze is still good, by the way, but Saka for me. Esto es difícil. No sé si vendería a Eze. Creo que no. Musiala and Hakimi out for Saka and Doué. Yes. Well, wait, who's the second player? You can't buy Doué for a defender. So yeah, just be careful about that one. Okay, sorry, yeah. You put another message. Or Ruggeri. I get it in terms of the balance, and I mentioned this as a potential issue for Matchday 17 if Atletico Madrid go through, but I'd probably buy Saka and a different defender, maybe even someone from Arsenal. So if you've only got Gabriel and Raya, my advice is to go for another defender like Saliba from the Gunners, but it depends really on how you feel. Yeah, and I think from a fantasy perspective, PSG have better options than Bayern Munich, with the exception of Kane and Elise. And from Arsenal's point of view, I think they've got more choices than Atletico, who mainly rely on Alvarez. I think Lookman's good. But apart from that, Ruggeri's decent. But yeah, I just don't think Atletico have that many brilliant fantasy options. So that's why I've currently got the sort of balance I do. And I might go away from Atletico Madrid entirely, but it's very risky. Eze, Trossard or Rice? I would go for Eze. Rice isn't bad though. Just Baki says keep Rice and get Saka for Neves. Yes. And João Neves has been very consistent, by the way. Over the past 5 match days, I think he's returned in 4 of them. And he obviously scored last time out, 8 points. So we know what he can do. So yeah, I think they're all viable choices, but I would probably get Saka. Yeah, I'd buy Saka for Musiala, but that's just my opinion. And maybe it's premature because he's only had 45 good minutes basically for a while. But he looked very fresh. Like, it's the quickest, the most agile I've seen Saka in a while. And yeah, if he plays like that again tonight, then he's going to have a great chance. The best Bayern defender is Upamecano. It's as simple as that. In second place is probably Jonathan Tah. At this point, every decision is a big one. Agreed. I think that is definitely the case. Saka, Luis Diaz and Upamecano for Hakimi, João Neves and Julian Alvarez. Yes. The only questionable one is selling Alvarez for Diaz. That could go either way. Kimmich in place of Musiala. I'd keep Musiala. From these two, Ivan, I'd go for Doué. Sell Alvarez and get Diaz. It can go either way. I'm a bit 50-50 on this one. I'd probably lean towards no and keep Alvarez. Also thinking about the Matchday 17 balance, just in case Atletico Madrid go through. Yeah, I think Calafiori gets 60 plus minutes. He's not great for ball recoveries, but I think he's the most likely Arsenal defender to score today. Sell Alvarez or Diaz for Dembele. If I had to sell one, it's probably Alvarez, but that gives you one less Tuesday player, and you might have an imbalance already, and it also could leave you short for the Champions League final. If you're really bullish on Arsenal going through, or in this case, maybe PSG, then yeah, go ahead with it. But it's not a necessary transfer, and it could be Alvarez's week this time, or it could be Luis Diaz instead of Dembele. So these things can definitely swing between match days. Is that Eze? Eze captain for me. Fair enough. Saka and Diaz or Musiala and Gyökeres? Saka and Diaz. Saka and Diaz. Okay, Jesus. Saka and Luis Diaz. Anyway, moving on. Sell Alvarez for Diaz. Yeah, once again, I'm getting this question quite a lot. I'm in a similar boat. I've already got Diaz, but my sort of conundrum is selling Alvarez for one of Dembele or Gyökeres, which I'm open to, but it's not set in stone. I'd probably lean towards keeping Alvarez, as I said before. If Atletico and Bayern goes through, I might have to uninstall the app because ain't no way I'll be able to manage a playing 11. Well, that's where hits come into play, or you stick with 9. But that's not what you want for a Champions League final. Miles Lewis-Skelly, defender in midfield, my captain for tonight. Well, I don't really... I'm not going to, let's say, put you off. Go for something different because you've got big hitters tomorrow and template picks and a lot of choices, really, on the Wednesday if you need it. Got Gabriel, Saliba, Bacho, Nuno Mendes. Need one to replace Hakimi. Upamecano. Balance things out a little bit. And I'm assuming you got Raya already, so yeah, go for Upamecano. Yeah, Luis Skelly is a differential. I'm not against it. He actually got an assist against Atletico Madrid earlier this season in a 4-0 win. So, yeah, I'm on board with Luis Skelly. He's not going to be great for ball recoveries, but yeah, I think he could be pivotal for Arsenal moving forwards. And it's good to see him start again. So I'm going to go and start making some transfers fairly soon, actually. That's the plan. Best centre-back other than Gabriel, Saliba or Ruggeri? Well, I don't think Ruggeri's up there, in my opinion. So the best defenders in UCL Fantasy, well, apart from going for another Arsenal defender, I'd likely stick with someone from Paris Saint-Germain, I think. So Nuno Mendes and, yeah, Bacho, one of those two. Very good for ball recoveries. They're the top 2, in fact. Dembele for Gyökeres captain differential. I'm not sure if I'd sell one for the other. I'd keep what you've got, really. Gyökeres or Dembele? I still think Dembele, but I don't see him producing another double-digit haul, which I could be wrong about. Gyökeres is first on penalties, then it's Saka. Odegaard will be third in line, but he's on the bench anyway. No, you don't get unlimited transfers for the final. You get 5. So, as I mentioned earlier, the pattern has been very consistent for the last couple of years. So, looking at the traditional format of the round of 16 onwards, you get unlimited for Matchday 11, which is the new format technically. So the first leg of the round of 16. Then for the second legs of every single round, you get free transfers. And for the first leg, you get 5. That includes Matchday 17, the Champions League final. Is it worth taking the -4 hit? Hakimi to Upamecano? Yeah, I'd pick him over Tar. Musiala to Saka? Yes. What I'd probably say to you, mate, is sell Lenormand to Calafiori, but don't sell Alvarez to Gyökeres. Even though that transfer could have the higher ceiling and the bigger swing, but it can also go against you. I think Lenormand to Calafiori is a bigger upgrade. Keep Alvarez. That'd be my advice. Don't take the hit. Raya and Neuer, or Ryan Safanov. So basically you're saying Neuer or Safanov. Probably Neuer. Home advantage, I think Bayern will go through. I could be wrong about that. Football's a game of opinions. And it's another way of covering Bayern defensively. I think you're quite limited. So Upamecano is the standout, then it's Neuer. But with PSG, even with Hakimi injured, you've got Safanov in goal, which is absolutely fine. But I think Marquinhos is better, Bacho, and Nuno Mendes. So I'd rank all 3 of them as better ways of covering PSG than Safanov. So that's why Neuer would be my preference. Hola, hermano. Buenas tardes. I'm assuming you're going to have a... Was it triple PSG exodus if you are conceding a Bayern win? Well, that's my prediction. I'm not fully, on board with it, or let's say I absolutely believe it's going to happen because PSG are still a quality side. But I will buy Upamecano because I just don't have any Bayern defensive coverage, and that could be crucial for Matchday 17. So, yeah, with PSG, I'm still quite happy to have 4 or 5 players, but Hakimi will be sold. He's obviously injured. And yeah, the balance is definitely very important. With Atletico Madrid, I've got 2, and I might go down to 1 or 0, but that could be very problematic. And if I end up doing something like that, it might be worth buying more Bayern players just so I've got a better balance overall. But ultimately, it can go either way. So it's very important, I think, at this stage. It's a unique part of the season where you're thinking about what's right in front of you, but also, do I have enough free transfers for the final? And maybe this season, we could have the limitless or wildcard actually being useful for once at such a late stage of the competition. But yeah, with PSG, I think I could sell 2 players, but not really a guarantee. But Hakimi's definitely going to be offloaded. I mean, that's a simple one. Yeah, both my chips are used in the league phase, and that's my recommendation to everybody. I think there's another super chat in the building. Let's go through that. Thank you, Sid. Have Elise, Doué, Kvaratskhelia, Eze, Vitinia. Saka for who? Either for Vitinia or Doué. Sorry, not Doué. Sorry. Either for Vitinia or Eze. That would be my recommendation. Elise and Kvaratskhelia, definitely keep them. There are some question marks about Doué, Vitinia, and ultimately Vitinia's more consistent, but I do like Doué against Bayern. Yeah, it has to be one of Vitinia or Eze out for Saka if you really want him. It seems like Saka is very popular right now, and I'm not saying he's suddenly a must-have, by the way. Thank you to Stepaki, as he says. Like, subscribe, hit the notification bell. Let's try to get to 39k today, and yeah, that's also the way you can have your questions, well, even being presented in the first place. Subscribe to the channel, and your questions will be answered. Saka or Gabriel? I'm probably going to go for Saka as a differential, and I think Atletico could score, to be fair, so yeah, I'm going for Saka. Got 1 transfer left. Llorente for Lookman. No, I'd keep Lookman. Don't have Dembele. Who do I take out to get him if I should have Kane, Diaz, Alvarez? Well, probably Alvarez, but the problem with that is you have 1 less Tuesday player, and it could cause problems for Matchday 17 if Atletico Madrid reach the final. But yeah, Alvarez is so consistent. There's no real need to sell him, and I think he'll get plenty of minutes despite the injury concerns going into this. By the way, up the Duffys. Thank you very much for yesterday. Hakimi to Tar or MLS? Probably this week MLS. And the only Bayern defender that I'd be quite bullish on is Upamecano. I'd say use the limitless now. I mean, if you are quite unsure about who goes through to the final, it might be worth saving the limitless for matchday 17. But remember, you can't make substitutions or change the captaincy, so you're kind of restricting yourself or the appeal and the ceiling of the limitless chip, because the sort of principle with that booster is to have 15 expensive players and be able to make subs and get a lot of points. You're not going to do that in the final, and probably not now either. But it's very team dependent. I still think for a lot of people, I'd rather use it now, but it could vary for the odd person. I think Calafiori is fine. I mentioned him as a potential differential. I like the way he plays, and he's definitely capable of scoring. But you're not going to get many ball recoveries from him compared to Saliba, Gabriel. But I do prefer Calafiori over White. I wouldn't captain Llorente, to be honest, but he's a good player. He has a great record against Liverpool. So if he was playing Liverpool, then maybe. But yeah, I just hope he stays quiet tonight. Trossard or Eze? I think Trossard played better on Saturday, but that's one performance. You can't really judge too much on that. Eze has been the better player in 2026. I think Trossard's been quite poor, actually, for several months. So it's still going to be Eze for me, but very close. Gyökeres or Diaz? Gyökeres. No worries, Marek. Thank you very much. Just have a dilemma with Lenormand to other defender from Arsenal. Already have Gabriel and wonder about Calafiori as I mentioned. I'd go for Saliba. Ball recoveries, you know he's going to start. I think the others have more attacking threat, and obviously Lewis Skelly is playing out of position. And yeah, I don't blame you for not trusting White. By the way, once upon a time, one of the best right-backs in the country and very consistent, but he's been overplayed. A lot of injuries, unfortunately. Hopefully he plays well tonight, but yeah, I agree that he's the worst fantasy option from Arsenal. But yeah, Lewis Skelly would be quite intriguing, to be honest, but I'd probably go for Saliba. It's quite boring and safe, I get it, but I think it's just the best option. Who's the best captain today? Either Gyökeres or Saka. You saw my top 10 captaincy list earlier. I had Gyökeres the highest at 5th. What kind of question is that? Best captain pick for tomorrow, Kvaratskhelia, Kane or Dembele? Probably Kane. He's number 1 across all players for me. Should I do Musiala to Doué for a -4? No. Not for a hit. Thank you, Rusbe. If you haven't butchered your name. Alvarez and Hakimi to Gyökeres and Calafiori, or Hakimi and Tata, Saliba and Calafiori. Already have Raya and Gabriel. I would go for the first option and have Gyökeres and Calafiori, but once again, that's the biggest concern I think with selling Alvarez. Not only do you lose a player for, well, you technically don't lose a player for Tuesday, you got Gyökeres, but you could be at serious risk for the final if Atletico Madrid go through. And let's say you haven't covered Bayern Munich and they also go through, you might be down to 8 or 9 players, even with 5 free transfers being used. So be very mindful about that. And that's why I might keep an Atletico Madrid player or 2 in my setup. But in isolation, which transfers look better? What could result in more points? I'd say Gyökeres and Calafiori. The best limitless and wildcard squad was covered in my best team video. I'll show you again because I do have it ready, like a sort of best team overall. It's kind of awkward, I think, with the limitless and wildcard. They sort of overlap now a little bit because we've only got 2 match days left, but I think with the limitless, for example, yeah, you can sort of focus more on the home teams, I guess. I think Arsenal and Bayern are slight favourites to win the match, at least in the second legs, but that doesn't mean they necessarily go through. At least not in the case of Bayern Munich, of course. Yes, it's kind of an awkward one, but I think limitless now and wildcard in 17, I mean, that is probably the best play. Ultimately, though, if I'm being honest with you, I think both boosters are nowhere near as appealing as they would have been before. Saka or Alvarez captain? Saka. Selling Musiala for Saka? I'd lean towards yes, but it's not an absolute must. And I don't suddenly think Saka's the best midfielder or fantasy option. No, he isn't. But he does have the capability of being Arsenal's best attacker in this game. Do we keep Hakimi? I'd sell him. You can always buy him back if PSG reach the final, which isn't a guarantee. Oddly enough, his absence could be the reason why Bayern Munich go through, like Wei Sing said earlier. I think Davis is more of a sell, and I'd rather buy Upamecano if you still want Bayern coverage defensively. And you've also got Gabriel, Saliba, maybe Luis Skelly or Calafiori. There's Nuno Mendes, Bacho. You got plenty of choices there. Need a good differential, Griezmann or Dembele? Definitely Dembele. More likely to score. Yeah, Griezmann quality player, but I think Dembele is the one. Okay, so I've gone through a lot of questions. I'm going to put some polls out and see what you lot think. I actually didn't show you the poll I had on my channel. And it's also worth going through the best team for Matchday 16, for those that haven't seen it yet. There was a video yesterday. Let's get the likes up as well and subscribe to the channel because, as I said before, we are very close to reaching a new milestone on the channel. Ah, great. Yeah, I didn't even put out the poll I wanted earlier, which is absolutely brilliant. Okay. Let's get this up now, at least. So, Upamecano 40%. I mean, you can ignore Hincapié, he's not starting. That could easily be Luis Skelly or, yeah, or Calafiori. Nuno Mendes is last with 20%. He was originally winning the vote. So, yeah, interesting stuff there. I'm going to show you another poll. I think it might be worth doing it here now. So let's go to my UCL fantasy team so you can see the context of my squad. Saka is currently my captain. I'll probably change that. Doué for me. I think Doué is the slightly better option for this game, considering the matchup. Hakimi status, he's out. There's nothing else to report there. I said this in all my videos and a few times in the stream. Hakimi will not play. That's why I'm selling him. Yeah, enjoy the game. Hopefully Arsenal get the job done. Is Musiala to Saka a good idea? I think so. I prefer Saka over Eze. The same goes for this one. Rice is still a good choice, just like Eze, but I like Saka. If he performs how he did on Saturday, I think he's a very interesting differential. I can also get Saka on for Musiala, but then I'd have both Saka and Eze. Well, that might not be a bad thing. And at least you can then sub out anyone who does underperform or doesn't deliver for Wednesday players. But having that balance is also important. No, I said this before, Andre. I wouldn't captain Llorente. If you want to, back your gut, but I think Llorente's a good UCL fantasy pick, but not for a captaincy option there. Pick 3. Basically, I dropped Musiala. Also thinking about Matchday 17, and yeah, I just think the other 3 are better options. Alvarez or Doué, both different positions, but I'd say Doué this week. Yeah, Saka, I covered that earlier. Alvarez or Dembele, Dembele. Rice, Neves or Musiala. Probably Joao Neves. Calafiori or Lewis. See, Lewis Kelly. So, yeah, in terms of people asking about differentials, I think Calafiori's good, but maybe Lewis Kelly's a bit more secure for minutes. Calafiori will probably get more ball recoveries, but in terms of assist potential, yeah, Lewis Kelly would probably just about win that. MLS over Calafiori and Alvarez to Diaz looks fine by me. But if you have Calafiori, you don't need to sell him necessarily. Hola Dylan, ¿cambiarías a Musiala por Saka o Julián por Gyökeres? Musiala por Saka. Okay, so let's put this poll out. So let's buy Dembele for Alvarez. Gyökeres for Alvarez. Hold Alvarez. So there you go. That's the poll done. I'll let that simmer for a little bit. Okay. So let's see what the poll is saying now. Alvarez or Diaz? Luis Diaz. Yeah, I would buy Saka for Llorente, but that's just my opinion. Maybe I'm going a bit too all in on Saka. So buy Dembele for Alvarez is winning, and overall, 65% of you in total are saying sell Alvarez for one of Dembele or Victor Gyökeres. But yeah, that's an interesting one. Not clear-cut by any stretch of the imagination. Last decision, Vitinia or Musiala out for Doué. I'd rather sell Musiala. I love the Gyökeres differential for you, especially as an Arsenal fan. Yeah, I'm just a bit wary about, just Arsenal doing Arsenal things, but hopefully that isn't the case tonight. So let's show you a few different things. So Upamecano for Hakimi. I'm probably going to lock this in right now and not overcomplicate it. And then it's about using my other 2 free transfers if I even decide to use all of them, because I also want to think about this. So Kane, Diaz, and Elise already in my team. Only 3 Bayern players in general. Upamecano would give me 4. I've currently got 5 PSG players here after selling Hakimi. I've got 4 Arsenal players here and 2 Atletico. That's not a terrible balance. So worst case scenario, let's say Atletico and Bayern reach the final. I would have 6 players and I can use my 5 free transfers for Matchday 17 to build an 11. But that's assuming there is no suspension like a red card or injury in the build-up to the Champions League final on the 30th of May. So that's something else I need to think about. And if I decide to sell Alvarez, for example, that could tilt the balance a little bit. And I would really need Arsenal to reach the final in that case. So, yeah, Alvarez to Gyökeres or Dembele is very appealing to me. And in the midfield, maybe selling Vitinia. But the thing is, like, I just don't really see myself selling Vitinia. I think I'm going to keep these players. So yeah, I'm quite happy with Elise, Diaz, and Kane. It's quite a weird season, to be fair. Very balanced. Both ties are hanging by a thread, and anything can happen. But I'd say Arsenal are probably favourites to go through. They are at home, of course, but yeah, Upamecano in for Hakimi. I'm going to lock that in right now. So let's get this done. And as I always say to people, don't copy anyone. Play your own game. You can make mistakes, learn from them, enjoy the process, and ultimately become a better fantasy manager by doing it instead of copying somebody else. But Upamecano in for Hakimi is done. I want that buying player, so that is self-explanatory. And we'll go back to the transfer section, have that ready to make my other 2 moves. But this is the best team for Matchday 17. So let's make a few changes here if necessary. So there's only one Atleti player, which isn't great, in Lookman. I've gone for Kane, Gyökeres and Dembele up front. Elise, Saka, Doué, Kvaratskhelia, Lookman. It's not too bad overall. Upamecano, Gabriel, Saliba, Nuno Mendes, Bachot, Raya and Neuer. What I would consider is having another Arsenal midfielder over Lookman, but that could be overkill. I think this might be the best team. Also thinking about Matchday 17, and you can definitely argue that another Bayern or Atletico player is probably needed. So that could be Luis Diaz for Gyökeres. In terms of the Tuesday balance, there's Raya, Gabriel, Saliba, Lookman, Saka and Gyökeres. So that's not too bad, but yeah, once again, it's about who reaches the final. You have to base your transfers and your final decisions on that as well, striking that balance between the points right in front of you and also the long term. And I say long term quite loosely because we only have 1 match day left after this one, but that is essentially what I'd sort of build. Let me know your thoughts in the live chat. What would you change? But I'm quite happy with the goalkeepers and the front line. I think the main conundrums are in the midfield and defence, and that's where 1 or 2 adjustments could be made. As for my team being brought back down to reality, well, Upamecano is in. I'm quite happy with that. But the rest is still up in the air. I think I'll keep one of Rogerio Alvarez. Selling both might be a bit overkill and very risky. So that's why I'm thinking about that. And yeah, ultimately it's a very close call. Thanks to the moderators, by the way, for keeping things flowing. Much appreciated. Diaz for Dembele. No, I'd keep what you have, I think. Even though Dembele looks very enticing. Yeah, I'm a bit unsure about that one. Ahmed says, buy Neuer, Upamecano, Diaz, sell Alvarez, Safanov and Tar. Yeah, I don't mind Safanov to Neuer too much, especially if you're sort of in 2 minds about what to do. And at least Neuer gives you an extra buy-in player. So I'm actually on board with that one, even if it doesn't seem that consequential or important for this week. Yeah, Jonathan Tah to Upamecano. It's a slight upgrade, to be fair. I mean, it does seem sideways from the outside, but I think Upamecano is better. Alvarez to Diaz could go either way, though. I'll be honest with you. The same goes for Dembele. It doesn't really matter who you sell or keep in that scenario. I think all of them, there's not really much separating them in Matchday 16, to be fair. But with the other 2, I think they are definitely justified, particularly Safanov to Neuer. Especially considering Matchday 17. That's very important, and people might overlook that a bit. Welcome, Johnny. Hey, Dylan, what surprised you most on the Arsenal starting 11? The fact that it's the exact same as last time, even though it makes sense because it was a great performance against Fulham. I'd say Ben White starting and Zubimendi benched. Those are the 2 biggest shocks for me. Great question. Thank you very much. Should I do Musiala to Doué for -4? As I said earlier, no. Or keep Rice and get Saka for Neves. So let's see your conundrum. Raya, Neuer, Ruggeri, Gabriel, Saliba, Hakimi, Mendes, Elise, Rice, Kvaratskhelia, João Neves, Doué, Dembele, Alvarez, Kane. Thinking of Hincapié, Bachot, Upamecano for Hakimi, Vitinia, Saka for Neves, or Saka, Rice, or G-Man for Alvarez. Who's G-Man? Sorry, but yeah. Oh, Gyökeres, yeah, Gyökeres. I should know. Well, yeah, don't go for Hincapié. He's not starting. It's Calafiori and Lewis Skelly. It's the exact same starting 11 from Arsenal that they fielded against Fulham on Saturday. So don't go for Hincapié. I'd probably go for Upamecano. And it also gives you that extra buying player because you've got Kane, Elise, and Neuer. Yeah, I'd add a 4th buying player in there. So Upamecano for me. And Gyökeres for Alvarez. It's risky, but I'd lean towards yes. I think that could work. Musiala or Vitinia to Lookman. If I had to pick, probably Musiala out, but I wouldn't be in a rush to sell Lookman, or to buy Lookman, I should say. In this question, I lean towards Lookman. I just haven't seen enough from Musiala recently, but he's a quality player. I just think injuries have definitely hampered him, just like Saka. Should I use Limitless? Probably, but if you are quite unsure about who reaches the final, it might help you quite a lot to just have a full 11 and maybe your ideal starting lineup for the final, but you can't make subs for matchday 17, so it just depends really. If you're quite confident, then use it now. At least you can make substitutions that way and build your ideal squad, where maybe others will be struggling a little bit. I think it's greedy enough to sell Alvarez to Dembele because you have triple PSG mid and enough for attacking returns. But I could go for Gyökeres. It's risky, but sometimes risky plays are rewarded. It's just about having a bit of luck and picking your moments. Buy Luis Diaz or Gyökeres for Alvarez. I think with questions like this, it's better to refer to my captaincy list again. So I'm going to go through that now. And I'm going to skip through to the clean sheet odds and things like that. So, yeah, for those that haven't seen, Arsenal are top of the clean sheet odds for the third week running. Bayern Munich, Atlético Madrid and PSG complete the rest of the semi-finalists in order. These stats are taken by the website fantasyfootballpundit.com. And with the top 10 captains, Kane, Kvaratskhelia, Dembele, and I put Diaz just ahead of Gyökeres, but that could go either way. Elise, Saka, Doué, Alvarez and Gabriel. That is my top 10 list for the captaincy. That can also help you with your final transfers and decisions. And there's a reason why I'm open to selling Alvarez for one of Dembele or Victor Gyökeres, but it's still very risky. And a lot of people in this live chat have asked me, should I sell Alvarez to Luis Diaz? And I'd lean towards no in that instance. And even for me as well, I still like the idea of buying one of Gyökeres or Dembele. So I get the sort of conundrum. It's one of the biggest decisions to make this week, and it can ultimately decide your mini leagues, your rank, and also if you get a green arrow or not in this particular match day. So it's going to be a very tough call. But yeah, I think Alvarez is the main thing that's putting me off is also the balance. I don't have many Atletico players in general, so that's why I might end up holding him in the end, despite the fact that I'm not too bullish on him. I'm not sure if I like Musiala too much. I mean, he could end up hauling, but he didn't play well against Heidenheim over the weekend. He started that game, and against PSG in the first leg, he was quite disappointing. Replacement for Lenormand, already have Gabriel, Saliba, Mendes, and Upamecano. I would either go for Bachot or another Arsenal defender like Lewis Skelly / Calafiori, who are both mega differentials, but I'm guessing you've got Raya already in your setup, so it could be overkill. But yeah, probably one of Bachot or I'd say Lewis Skelly. I haven't done a poll on who will advance, but that could be one worth looking at. So buy Dembele for Alvarez is winning with 43%. Hold Alvarez is technically second, but in general, we're looking at, what, 69%? Yeah, 69% saying sell Alvarez for one of Dembele or Victor Gyökeres, which is very interesting indeed. So that's going to get to 500 votes very soon. Let's get the stream up to 200 likes and also close in on a new goal in 39,000 subscribers. That would be a brilliant way to wrap up this stream. And I have answered a lot of questions already. So yeah, I think we're around 40 away. Yeah, 40 away. Let's get up to that milestone. And thank you to those that have subscribed already. The same goes for the members, patrons, and also those that have been watching my content for several years now. So let's end that one. And let's do who will advance to the Champions League final. Let's put Arsenal and Atleti. And then I'll do one for Paris Saint-Germain, Bayern Munich, which will be a very interesting one indeed. Okay, so the top 10 captaincy list, you can see it right. So this is definitely a reference point for a lot of your questions. And yeah, it will definitely help you out. Let's go to some different screens. This is my mini league, SEINOF. That's the code. There's an auto-join link in the description. And for Predict 6, I've gone for Arsenal 2, Atletico Madrid 0. I might end up saving that one. So, which team will score first? I've gone for Arsenal. Will Odegaard get an assist? No, he's on the bench. Who will be the official player of the match? Declan Rice. Will Alvarez score in the second half? I've put no. Fingers crossed. Will there be a goal in extra time? No. This match will not go to extra time. We will see. And for Bayern Munich 3, PSG 2, I've gone for 1-1 at half time. And for one of Kane or Kvaratskhelia to score. No red card. Will there be 5 or more goals? Yes. And there will be a penalty shootout. But it could technically be 3-2 for Bayern and still go to extra time, basically. No? No, it can't. That's just silly me. Silly me. No. Basically, it's consistent with my prediction. Yeah, so I think there will be a penalty shootout. And I think Bayern will go through. But let's wait and see what happens. So this is the poll I put out earlier. I mean, people are now going to just vote for Upamecano. Hincapié is not starting for the Gunners. I'll show you that lineup one more time. So for Bayern Munich, with the exception of Gnabry, Bayern have a full squad available for tomorrow's game. And this is PSG's squad list. I went for Atlético Madrid's earlier, and ultimately their starting 11 speaks for itself. And in terms of the Bayern PSG predicted lineup, UEFA think that Neuer, Stanisic, Upamecano, Tar, Lima, Kimmich, Pavlovic, Elise, Musiala, Luis Diaz, and Kane will start. Gnabry is the only unavailable player for the home side. And for PSG, they have 2 absentees in Chevalier and Hakimi, who is out with a thigh injury. So Safonov, Zaire Emery, Marquinhos, Bacho, Nuno Mendes, Vitinia, João Neves, Fabian Ruiz, Doué, Dembele, and Kvaratskhelia will likely start. And for Arsenal, the exact lineup that beat Fulham 3-0 on Saturday: Raya, White, Saliba, Gabriel, Calafiori, Rice, Lewis Skelly, Saka, Eze, Trossard, and Victor Gyökeres. And for Atletico Madrid, Oblak, Ruggeri, Hanko, Lenormand, Pubil, Lookman, Koke, Llorente, Simeone, Alvarez, and Griezmann. So, there you go. There you go. And yeah, the clean shields and stuff have just been shown, so we can forget about that. In terms of the best team for Matchday 17, I'd go for something like this: Raya and Neuer, Upamecano, Gabriel, Saliba, Nuno Mendes and Bacho, Elise, Saka, Doué, Kvaratskhelia, Lookman, Kane, Gyökeres, and Ousmane Dembele. What would you change from this team? Dare I go without any Atleti player? I mean, Alvarez is incredible and he would definitely deserve a spot up front, but so would Luis Diaz, and this front three looks very enticing as well. But I'd probably have Lookman just to have that one Atletico player in there. You could say Ruggeri over one of these defenders as well. That could also work. And maybe just for the sake of balance, this would be for the wildcard, by the way, I would have just one Atleti player just in case. So, yeah, in this case, you've got 4 Bayern players, 2 from Atletico. If that's the final, you're not too bad. You can get to a full 11 with 5 free transfers. And for Paris Saint-Germain, you've got 4 players here now. And for Arsenal, you would have, wow, maybe too many, 5 Arsenal players overall. So there you go. That would be with Matchday 17 in mind as well, kind of hedging your bets a little bit. But if you are going all in on Arsenal, which it looks like the chat are, Arsenal have 75% of the vote. Damn. Interesting stuff. Thank you very much, mate. Thank you for your UCL tips. Helps me a lot. Much respect. Yeah, I appreciate everyone tuning in, and good luck for Matchday 16 and for the rest of the season. We are very, very close. Try to use your head and not be biased. Well, yes, I always try to do that, and sometimes I get it right, sometimes I get it wrong. But when Arsenal have been crap, I've captained players against them with no hesitation. And yeah, I don't have any Arsenal players in UCL. Sorry, in FPL. I've got 0, which is a mistake of mine. Thank you, Dano. Gabriel, captain or Saka? Gabriel is safer, no denying it, but I would lean towards Saka. You saw my Captaincy list a few minutes ago, I'm assuming, and yeah, Saka was 7th, Gabriel was 10th, and Gyökeres is actually the highest Arsenal player at 5th. So yeah, there's not much in it, but I'm going for Saka as a differential. 5% ownership and a great performance on Saturday. If you consider my thoughts, choose to buy the players that make you have 6 players if the unlikely teams get to the final. Yeah, I think that's a good shout, and that's something I'm thinking about as well. So that's why Ruggeri and Alvarez are still in my squad. But yeah, it's not particularly... well, it can go either way. Let's put it that way. I think what I might end up doing here... Yeah, it's not easy at all to sort of like pick the final transfers. There's even a case to just leave things as they are. Ruggeri for Mendes. Yeah, that's fine. If you want to cover Atletico Madrid defensively, Ruggeri is the one. Saka o Gyökeres. Bueno, más diferencial sería Saka. Tiene 5% ownership y Gyökeres creo que tiene 11%. Pero, tío, la verdad, parece que Saka es muy popular ahora en la comunidad. Muchos lo están comprando y es muy probable que voy a ponerlo como capitán. I would sell Davis, to be fair. I don't think he even starts. Due or Musiala for Saka? I'd rather sell Musiala. MLS, White or Calafiori? I'd probably drop White from that conversation. It's close between the others, but Luis Skelly. Should I sell Luis Diaz or Dembele to buy Gyökeres? I'd probably keep them. The only reason why I'd lean towards yes, or the only reason why I would even say that, is if I knew your whole team and you were really lacking Tuesday players. And in that case, I could say, fair enough, maybe buy Gyökeres, but in isolation, I'd keep what you've got. Ruggeri and probably Hanko. Lenormand isn't too far away, but I think those are the top two. Transfer Musiala to Lookman. I'm not sure about that one. Once again, it depends on your predictions. If you think Lookman does something or Atletico Madrid advance, then Lookman could be decent, but I'm not sure. I'd probably keep what you've got. If Bayern and Atleti go through, I'll have to do 6 transfers. Well, it could be worse. Some will have to do 7 or more, but yeah, that means a -4 to get to a full 11, and that's without thinking about potential injuries and suspensions. Hi, Dylan. I currently have 0 Atleti players. Do I use free transfers to get free in so as to have a full 11? 8 PSG Bayern versus 3 Atleti. So you've got 4 Arsenal players, right? How many Arsenal players do you have? Yeah, I'm wondering about that, but yeah, I wouldn't necessarily have 3 Atleti players. I think having 1 or 2 would be probably enough, assuming you've got, yeah, 4+ Bayern players, and the same goes with PSG, which might be the case. But yeah, it's an interesting one. This is a very awkward part of the season, and maybe in certain seasons gone by, we kind of knew who was going to go through in at least one of the semi-finals. I think with this one, you can't really tell. I know Arsenal are the heavy favourites in this poll, but I think Atletico Madrid have a genuine chance. So yeah, interesting one there. I would buy 1 or 2 Atleti players in your case, but not 3. I think that's too much. Saka, Lookman, or Vitinia? Saka and probably Vitinia overall. Well, to be honest, mate, some people who voted in this poll aren't Arsenal fans. It's just the common consensus, or the general consensus, is that Arsenal are the favourites, which I get. And let's not forget they beat Atletico Madrid 4-0 earlier this season, but I think with Arsenal, it's about how they play. If they turn up the way they did a few days ago, I'd be very confident, but yeah, Atletico Madrid are no mugs, we know that. Is it worth switching Eze to Saka, or better using the transfer to change Garcia to Neuer? Well, the higher upside is probably with Eze Saka, but that can also go the other way. So it's high risk, high reward. The safer play for you is probably buying Neuer and having that additional buying coverage for the final if they reach it, and also a better chance of a clean sheet. So if Raya doesn't keep one today, at least you've got Neuer for tomorrow as another option. So even though I like Saka a lot, I'd probably buy Neuer for you. Hi, Dylan, greetings from Panama. Thank you very much. Due or Vitinia? Due for me. Vitinia for Lookman? Possibly. Yeah, thank you for pointing out any potential mic problems. I think there was one in a recent stream. I'm not sure why. Probably just a cable issue, but yeah, let me know if it's sounding better now. Who's more differential, Saka or Eze? Well, to be fair, the way people are speaking about Saka right now, yeah, Eze is the bigger differential. He's got 4% ownership, and yeah, Saka will have more transfers in now, so Eze. Sell Rice for Saka? Not absolutely necessary, but I'd lean towards yes. So once again, thank you to Oogie Boogie, and also to Osman Dida for pointing that out. I covered this earlier, Grigor. Gabriel's safer, but I'd go for Saka. Wait a minute, Zer Emery is going to have to mark Diaz, right? Damn, do I go him instead of the G-Man? Yeah, but Emery's a good player. He has played right back before, but yeah, it's not the same as Hakimi, of course, who has his moments defensively anyway. But yeah, Diaz at home as well. 6 consecutive returns. That's what I mean. The 5 forwards, it's so difficult to choose 3 of them. I wish I could go for all 5, but you just can't at this stage. Yeah, so thanks to those that have sent in super chats and also to the members and patrons and the subscribers as well. Let's get to 39k today. It would be brilliant. Hakimi for Pacho is the best choice. I don't know who you got, to be fair, Johnny Quid. But I would recommend Arsenal defenders first. That's my priority. Then it would be Nuno Mendes and Pacho, because I just don't see PSG keeping a clean sheet against Bayern. I think Bayern versus Arsenal. That's my prediction. I said it very early on when the knockout predictor, the bracket game from UEFA was released. And I went for Arsenal to win it, but that was my heart saying that. But yeah, I think that is probably... well, I think Bayern PSG is so tough to call, but a lot of people would definitely back Arsenal. Let's see if they deliver. Yeah, Gabriel captain is very safe. I'm not against that. That might be this sort of logical play, but I think I'm going to go for Saka. Something a little bit different. Dylan, Tah for Upamecano or Safonov for Manuel Neuer? I'd rather do Safonov to Neuer. Good question, though. Saka over Declan Rice. Welcome, Juan. Cheers from Colombia. Change Hakimi for Upamecano or keep him and change Vitinia for either Eze or Lookman. Buy Upamecano. And it also gives you the extra Bayern player, and they still got a genuine chance of reaching the final. Lewis Skelly, Calafiori or White? Lewis Skelly. Hey Dylan, does Llorente to Saka make sense? Yes, it does. I'd probably do it. I'd pick Calafiori over Ben White, even though both of them aren't that secure when it comes to minutes. Me gusta ambos, pero Gyökeres está quinto en mi lista y Saka séptimo. Creo que Gyökeres es un poquito mejor. Should I do Musiala to Doué for a hit? Austin, you asked this question multiple times. Try not to spam the chat, please. I said this before. No, I wouldn't do it. Hey, Dylan, just joined the stream. Why would you avoid White? He had a very mixed game against Fulham. I think he's the weak link in the Arsenal team. And if Lookman targets him the way he did in the first leg, and if Ben White just makes unforced errors, I could see Ben White being subbed off for Mosquera very early on, possibly even before 60 minutes. And also, Gabriel and Saliba offer more ball recoveries. They start every game. Gabriel has set-piece threat. Calafiori can score goals. Lewis Skelly got an assist against Atlético Madrid earlier this season in a 4-0 win. So I think all of them are better options than Ben White, who I love, by the way. Quality player back in the day. Hopefully he can get back to that level because, yeah, he offers a lot to Arsenal. Gyökeres versus Arsenal. Gyökeres versus Alvarez and Doué versus Musiala. Gyökeres and Doué. Once again, for this question, it'd be Lewis Skelly, but it's very close between him and Calafiori. ¿Recomiendas restar 4 por otro fichaje? Creo que sí. Dembele for Alvarez worth it? Yes, but it's risky, especially if you have 0 or 1 Atleti player. Alvarez or Lookman. In isolation, Alvarez. Something keeps telling me to get the G-man. Yeah, Gyökeres is on penalties. Hopefully it continues. He has scored 27 consecutive penalties in his career. And yeah, he is definitely the first penalty taker for Arsenal. Gyökeres for me. I said this before, Jorge. And in my list, Gyökeres is 5th, Saka 7th. Gyökeres and Eze versus Alvarez and Saka. Both duos are good. I would lean towards Alvarez and Saka. Just about. I'm a little bit afraid that MLS will change faster for Zubimendi than Calafiori for Hincapié. That's viable. Calafiori is more likely to get injured, unfortunately, and it depends on game state. If Arsenal take an early lead and go 2-3-0 up, which I don't think will happen, yeah, that's where we could see Hincapié on for Calafiori, more defensive left back. But yeah, Zubimendi equally could come on as well. Yeah, that's a good point. The thing is, Lewis Skelly played the full 90 against Fulham the other day. And yeah, he deserved it. He had a great performance. So it just depends on game state and who's stepping up on the night. But oddly enough, I think Calafiori will be subbed off earlier. But let's wait and see what happens. I could be wrong. Thank you, Luis Alexander. Dylan, Gyökeres, Díaz o Julián. Creo que Luis Díaz, pero no hay mucho separando los tres. ¿Cuál de los tres y el que escojas de esos tres te gustaría Vitinia por Saka o Saka por Lookman? Tío, la verdad es muy difícil, pero solo para tener un jugador de Atlético, para que no tengas una situación muy complicada para la final, creo que Vitinia por Saka es mejor. Y también Lookman juega hoy, y si no anota un gol o asistencia, puedes sacarlo para jugadores de Bayern o Paris Saint-Germain. Así que sí, eso va a ser mi respuesta para, bueno, ambas preguntas. Yeah, Gabriel is a decent captain. You could even say a punt, to be fair, but he's the logical choice from Arsenal. And he's the highest scoring Gunners asset in fantasy alongside Martinelli. G-Man is Griezmann, not Gyökeres. Is it? Well, Twisted Parky can say that. G-Man makes sense, yeah. I mean, I wouldn't go for Griezmann personally, but Alvarez is the first choice penalty taker for Atletico Madrid. But yeah, let me know. So thanks, Dylan. If I do go G-Man and say Upamecano for Bayern, what about the third? So either Rice or Neves for Vitinia or Saka, or do both and keep Alvarez? Probably do both and keep Alvarez. That'd be my advice. But if you're really bullish on G-Man, whoever this is, then yeah, you've got to back your gut there. Welcome, Haribo. Will MLS start in the final if Arsenal go through? Well, that's another question in of itself, because before Saturday, Lewis Skelly hadn't started in many months, but he played that well that he forced himself into this lineup, and I'm very surprised that Arteta benched Zubimendi. But yeah, if he continues playing this way, and let's say he plays well tonight and against West Ham, yeah, I think Skelly could play the final, but we'll wait and see. I couldn't guarantee it, to be quite honest with you, but I'm going to say yes, assuming Arsenal do reach the final. I would consider MLS, but worry that Gabriel, Saliba and Raya is all eggs in one basket. Yeah, if you've got those three already, probably stick with that. Yeah, now G-Man is Gyökeres because he played for Brighton, and I get the spelling wrong. Fair enough. That's what I thought, but someone made a good point that it could be Griezmann, but that isn't the case. 5 para la final. Siempre lo mismo. 5 para la primera ronda de cada fase y 3 para la segunda fase, como tenemos ahora. No Nuno Mendes. I can't even speak. I don't have him. No. I just don't think they'll keep a clean sheet against Bayern Munich. So I'm not really that fussed about him. I bought up a Mancano just now, and I think that makes a lot of sense to just have that fourth Bayern player. So yeah, let me lock in my team, because I'm basically answering questions and going through lineups and data and stats and a lot of different things for you. But yeah, I'm going to forget my own team. Hi, Dylan, who's the best captain? You saw my Captaincy list. I'll probably just show you now. Yeah, we'll just do this. So for the final time today, because I've done this several times already, these are the clean sheet odds, and then you're going to see the top 10 captains, so that's going to help you. Moby says Joao Neves or Saka. Saka. So 80% of you have gone for Arsenal to go through to the Champions League final. I hope you're right. Let's now go for a Bayern versus PSG poll. Who will advance? Let's go for Bayern and PSG. This should be much more even, definitely. It's possible, Juan. I might change Alvarez to Dembele, but I'm quite wary about what happens or what that means for the Champions League final, because I've got 4 Bayern players, 2 Atletico. If I sell my Atleti assets, I could basically be down to 8 or 9 players, even after making 5 free transfers in Matchday 17. Godsent10 says, Diaz, Kane or Alvarez for Dembele. If I had to pick, I'd sell Alvarez, but just be wary about the balance. There is a chance that Atletico Madrid go through, and if that's the case, you could be in a bit of trouble for the final. 3 Arsenal defenders changed to 4. Manuel Neuer, 1 Bayern defense, got another. Or Mendes, 1 PSG defense, got another. Already have Ruggeri. Yeah, in this case, it's either Upamecano or go for Bacho for you, Twisted Parky. And I think what ultimately decides it for you is who do you think goes through? And this poll might help you a little bit. Bayern Munich are actually winning with 69%, despite being 1 goal down in the tie. Would you transfer out Ruggeri for Califari White MLS? I would, but it's very risky. I think no matter what you do, if you're going down to 0 players from any club, there is a chance that it's going to backfire a little bit. Giuseppe says, thoughts on a split of 3 Atletico, 4 Arsenal, Bayern, PSG? It's a good balance, and that way you're not going to be caught out for the final, but it could mean a reduction in points for this week. That's the only concern there, but if you're sort of in two minds about certain ties like I am, then it makes a lot of sense to have that sort of approach, and that's what I normally recommend, by the way. And it's a question of the best fantasy assets. So I've said this before, I think Bayern will reach the final, but in terms of their prospects, Diaz, Kane, Elise, brilliant. Upamecano is decent, but apart from that, I don't think they have many good fantasy assets, Bayern Munich. I think PSG have more, so you have to think about that as well. Okay, so Bayern Munich are winning this as well. I thought it'd be a bit more even, to be fair. Creo que sí. Luis Kelly hizo una asistencia contra Atlético Madrid en la jornada 3. I'd go for Luis Kelly over Calafuri, but it's very close. Not much in it. Would you transfer out Ruggeri for Calafuri White MLS? As I covered before, Sydney, yes. Is Nuno Mendes expected to play for PSG? Yeah. Hakimi's the one who's injured. Nuno Mendes is fine. Musiala to Saka? Yes. Not really, Simon. I just haven't decided yet. Yeah, Luis Kelly, a lot of people are looking at him. Absolutely on board with that. I don't have many issues with that sort of pick, but I'm not going to sell Bacho. I've got Gabriel Saliba already. I just bought up a Mancano, so I think that makes sense. Yeah. So what it comes down to for me, I'm going to end this poll very soon and then just lock in, is Safonov to Neuer, Alvarez to Dembele/Gyökeres, which is going to be a tough one, and even Ruggeri to Luis Kelly. I think that could be my sort of conundrum here. So 71% have gone for Bayern Munich. Wow. Okay. Very close call here between Gyökeres and Luis Diaz. I lean towards Diaz, but it's also about the Tuesday-Wednesday balance and how have you structured your team? Do you have plenty of Bayern players already? What about Arsenal? How is that looking for the final? In the worst case scenario, can you get to 11 with 5 free transfers? If that's the case, then I would just go for Diaz. ¿Venderías a Martinelli, banca por menos 4? Creo que sí, pero también depende de qué jugador vas a comprar. Si va a ser Kvaratskhelia, Olise, Doué o Saka, creo que vale la pena. Should I transfer Vitinia for Lookman? No, I'd keep Vitinia. I just don't really think that's a great upgrade, to be honest. A few weeks ago, I actually sold Nuno Mendes for Bacho to buy Doué in the midfield to get the funds necessary. But yeah, I'm not going to buy Nuno Mendes now, I think, because I've got Safonov and Bacho already. That's 2 PSG defenders, technically. A double up in their defense, and I don't think they'll keep a clean sheet against Bayern. They've got an 8% chance in the clean sheet odds. I speak Spanish. Luis Alexander says, necesito decidirme por uno, Díaz o Julián. Díaz. Gracias, Luis, por el super chat. Safonov out for Neuer. It's a good move, I think. It's not going to lead to many points, especially this week, but it could provide you that balance that you need for the final. I don't think it really does for me, actually, because I've got 5 PSG and 4 Bayern now, so it just basically switches it the other way around, even though I think Bayern will go through, and the home advantage is certainly there for Bayern. I don't think they'll keep a clean sheet either. Musiala or João Neves? I'd probably say João Neves, but it's close. So torn if I should move Alvarez to Dembele. I'm in the same boat as you, mate, and I'm going to put a poll out now about my final transfers. Okay, so let's do Safonov to Neuer, Ruggeri to Luis Skelly, Vitinia. I mean, that would be a bit left field if I did that. I'm not sure if I'd sell Vitinia, but yeah, I could go to Lookman. And then the other one is Alvarez to Dembele/Gyökeres. So I'm going to make 2 of these transfers, if that. I don't really have to. But yeah, I will make 1 move, that's for sure. Good option for Musiala. Well, apart from the obvious Kvaratskhelia and Elise picks, I would say Saka and Doué. I have Alvarez, Dembele, Kane. Whom should I transfer for Diaz? I would sell Alvarez, but it's not necessary. and it can cause problems for you in matchday 17 if Atletico go through. Diaz or Gyökeres, very close. I prefer Diaz. ¿Vale la pena vender a Julián Álvarez por un -4? No. Por un -4 seguramente que no. Upamecano or PSG defenders? I'm not sure what your balance is right now. Do you have one of Bacho Nuno Mendes already? Do you have Safinov? That would be very important to know, but in isolation, I think Upamecano is slightly better for this match day. I think Bayern will go through, or at least win this game. They could still technically be knocked out on penalties. Doué or Musiala? Doué. I've come up with a genius plan to cover Atleti without getting minus in case they go through. I'll go for Raya and Oblak to guarantee a keeper, as I don't think Bayern PSG will have a clean sheet. That's a fair strategy. It does limit you a little bit for this week, but ultimately I agree with you. I don't think there will be a clean sheet anyway, unless you get a penalty save or a Player of the Match award and an absolute madness like Neuer against Real Madrid. You should be fine. So it's not a bad idea. But Atletico Madrid have conceded 27 goals this season with one clean sheet in the Champions League. Oblak hasn't kept a single one. ¿Venderías a Álvarez por Díaz? Creo que no. Y me gusta mucho a Luis Díaz para esta jornada, pero creo que no. Dembele or Álvarez? Dembele. I already have Saka and Captain Gyökeres today. It's between Doué and Musiala. What to do? I'd pick Doué. I'm captaining Saka. Hopefully it's back to his best after that Fulham game. I had him captain before the Fulham game, but after seeing that performance, I'm very, very bullish about it. Keep 2. Julian, Luis Diaz, and Dembele. I would keep Dembele and probably Diaz, but once again, it can go either way. All three of them are excellent choices. So yeah, Dembele Alvarez, it's a very popular question today. I'm going to say Dembele once more, but it's very close. I want an alternative to Saka due to budget constraints. Eze? Who to captain? I'd go for Saka. I'm backing Arsenal, and hopefully they deliver. My free transfers are Hakimi to Saliba, Ruggeri to Calafiori, and Musiala to Saka. Looks good. 6 Arsenal, 5 PSG, 2 Bayern, 2 PSG. Wow. I'm guessing 2 Atletico, you mean, at the end, but interesting. I would ideally have one more Bayern player, but yeah, I'm guessing you've got Kane and Elise, who are the best picks, so you can't have them all. But yeah, I think the only concern here is if Bayern and Atletico Madrid go through, which is probable, well, I'd say is possible, especially from Bayern's perspective, so that could be a concern, and you might be down to 9 players even after making 5 free transfers, so yeah, be careful about that. So we've got 3.5 minutes left until the deadline. Make sure to lock in. I'll be making some transfers very soon because, yeah, there's no more time. So Alvarez to Dembele Gyökeres is winning. Yeah, this is not ideal. Alvarez out. Jesus, what am I doing? So yeah, Gyökeres is now up to 12% ownership. Yeah, I think recently he had 11%, but yeah. Very interesting stuff. So 43% of you have said Alvarez to Dembele or Gyökeres. Ruggeri to Luis Skelly is second. Vitinia to Lookman is third. Safinov to Neuer is last. Yeah, I don't really see a big need for that myself. If I didn't buy Upamecano, then maybe. But since I've got Upamecano now, yeah, I'm not really seeing too much value in that sort of thing. So, yeah, it's time to go. I think keeping one Atleti player is probably in my best interest here. Yeah, I think I'm doing it. I'm going to sell Alvarez. Will Ousmane Dembele cost me now? Probably. Yeah. One of Dembele or Gyökeres will come in. The thing is, if I buy Dembele, I'd be tempted to sell Vitinia. And that's where I could go to Lookman or a different option. But this might sound crazy. What I might end up doing, this could definitely come back to backfire massively. Sometimes it's better not to make a transfer. Victor Gyökeres in. So that would leave me with 5 PSG, 4 Bayern, 5 Arsenal, and 1 Atletico Madrid. Yeah. It does seem a little bit like forcing it, if you will. Thing is, I need to jinx Alvarez. I can't lie to you. So we've got 1 minute left, so let's lock things in. I'm quite happy with my team anyway, to be honest. I might not even use my other 2 free transfers, which sounds crazy, but there you go. So this is my current team. Let's refresh that quickly. But we've literally got seconds left now. So Saka captain. 6 players for today. The rest are playing tomorrow. Yeah. I think I'll keep Ruggeri and sell Alvarez to Victor Gyökeres. What am I doing? I don't know. Arsenal have got me believing again. Let's go. Victor Gyökeres is in. Oh yeah, the site is... It's locked me out. That's weird. That's very strange behavior. But yeah, I think the transfer went through. You can see this here. Yeah. So the transfer did go through, and that might be a blessing in disguise or a curse, but I ended up not using all 3 of my transfers. So, yeah, there you go. It actually logged me out on this screen. That's brilliant. So, yeah. Let me know your thoughts in the live chat. We are done now. The second last deadline stream for UCL Fantasy this season. The penultimate one. Time flies. Yeah. Wow. Unbelievable. Absolutely unbelievable. So thanks everyone for tuning in. And yeah, massive shout out to those who send in super chats. Yeah, the game is about to start and it's on Amazon. So I'm going to be watching it here. I'll try to go through as many questions as possible. I should have changed the screen there before doing that. My game locked me into Gyökeres captain. Once again, it could be a blessing in disguise, and I hope it is, even though I didn't captain him myself. Alvarez is my captain, any problem? Well, I hope there is a problem. I hope he blanks, but yeah, that's a biased view on things. Yeah, I've definitely left myself a bit short if Atletico and Bayern both go through, so I really need Arsenal to deliver. Today I've gone all in on the Gunners. Cheers, Dylan. Good luck. All the best to you as well. Ian says, yeah, I just did Alvarez to Gyökeres. What could possibly go wrong? Yeah. Thanks, Dylan. Good luck all. Likewise, Johnny. We need it. We need it. We've committed ourselves to a certain strategy. Good luck, Cooker. Saka used to perform poor against Atleti. Who to captain if not Saka? Well, he played badly in the first leg, but yeah, he came into a game where Atletico were sort of on top in that phase. Yeah, and I think it's the performance on Saturday that maybe has me believing again, and the lineup, seeing how Arteta's approached this game, which I'm very surprised by. But yeah, in the 4-0 win earlier this season, Saka wasn't particularly great. He might have had a decent game, but no goals or assists there. But ultimately, it can be a blessing in disguise to, well, to sometimes sort of fail the first captain, because then you have no hesitation about changing it to a Wednesday option, and that's where you get a lot of points being gained there. So yeah, that's what I've gone for in the end. I wouldn't have sold Alvarez to Diaz for a hit. I've said that all along. Just keep Alvarez. Yeah, that would have been the smarter play, or the more logical choice, I guess. Is your boost on Arsenal or tomorrow? That is a good question. I think it's on tomorrow. Yeah, it is on tomorrow. So yeah, I've gone for Arsenal 2. Wait, what? I don't know if that's a glitch, but I did put my predictions there for Arsenal. I put 2-0. So yeah. Well, we'll see. I think it's just a glitch. I think they logged me out, that's why. So yeah, thank you everyone for tuning in. It has been a blast talking to all of you. And yeah, let's see what happens in this semi-final between Arsenal and Atletico Madrid. One step away from the Champions League final. And yeah, I'm down to one Atleti player. So quite balanced from the other 3, but not with the Spanish side, that's for sure. And yeah, we'll see what happens here. We're already a few minutes in. Let's get the likes up to 200 plus if we haven't done so already. Let's have a look and see how we've done on that front. So yeah, we did go over to 200 likes. I appreciate those that did so. And we made progress towards 39,000 subscribers, which we should achieve fairly soon. Yeah, I think we're around 30 away now. So little by little, we are getting there. And a big up to all the community for their support. It's massively appreciated as always. And there's going to be another deadline stream very soon, but it will be for FPL and for the Champions League final on the 30th of May. We will be there covering it as usual. Be sure to drop a like on this video if you haven't done so already. Subscribe to my channel, hit the notification bell, and all that good stuff. And yeah, share, hit the hype button. You know the drill. And follow me on Twitter, Instagram, and Blue Sky. Dylan RCM. There's also my Discord server, the UCL Fantasy League, Spotify, and much more. Bueno, para mí, Gabriel es una muy buena opción para el capitán. Muy seguro. Victor Gyökeres. Y si tienes una preferencia para Atlético, Álvarez es un muy buen jugador. Alvarez or Diaz -4, it would have been just keep Alvarez. Captain Eze, massive differential there. I probably wouldn't have Captain Eze, but he is definitely a difference maker who can produce big moments like he did against Leverkusen a few months ago. Get a second keeper or swap Musiala to Vitinia Lookman. Probably get a second goalkeeper. But yeah, obviously this is all done. Good luck as well, Johnny Quid, and everybody else watching. Twisted Parky says, I've gone a bit risky. I hope I don't pay for it. 6 Arsenal, 1 Atletico, 4 PSG, 4 Bayern. Yeah, same here. I've got 5 Arsenal, and still it's a bit of a madness. Ooh, Raya with a... yeah. He played out well from the back. But yeah, that looked a bit hairy. Good pressing from Atlético Madrid. Well, yeah. Thanks, Easy. How did Chelsea go on yesterday? Like I said earlier. Good luck today and in Premier League results. Thank you, Keith. We definitely need it. Even though we're 3 wins away from glory in the Prem and 2 away in the Champions League. It sounds crazy saying it like that, but Arsenal can definitely do it. The last time they dropped points to City, they went on to beat Atletico Madrid 4-0 and won their 5 Premier League games against the same opponents they're facing now. So hopefully they can repeat that. Captain Eze for today. All the best, Ivans. Hopefully that goes well for you and also for Arsenal. Should have Captain Gyökeres if you bought him. Yeah, possibly, but... yeah, I was a bit in 2 minds about that Gyökeres transfer. Even keeping Alvarez would have been fine. And then, yeah, Dembele was also very tempting. I should have gone for Dembele in the first place, to be honest. So now I'm just trying to make up some lost points, if you will. Thanks, Dylan. Good luck to you. I ended up selling Vitinia to Saka, kept Musiala, Hakimi to Upamecano, and Alvarez to Diaz. Yeah, I do like the Diaz transfer. And Saka, I wouldn't say it's an upgrade because Vitinia's been brilliant all season, but... yeah, that's a good transfer for this week on paper. And yeah, Upamecano I think makes a lot of sense. I've gone for him as well. How you doing, Dylan? Happy to see you, my good friend. We are in this together. It seems you went with Gyökeres rather than Dembele. Just hope Gyökeres will do us proud. Yeah, I think it's also maintaining that Tuesday balance, but I also had 3 PSG midfielders, and buying Dembele would mean a 4th unless I sold Vitinia, which I wasn't that keen on doing. So in the end, that pushed me towards buying Victor Gyökeres, which I might regret in the end. But as long as Alvarez blanks, I'd take that. I'd be very happy. But yeah, Simeone now in a good position. And Alvarez, oof, that was very close. Yeah, oh dear. I need your help, PSG, this deadline. Munoz or not bother. Maybe the G-man for Pedro, Dewsbury Hall instead of Palmer. PSG? What? But just 2 free transfers. But with Havertz back, this is a concern. Yeah, that is definitely a concern. Buying Gyökeres in either fantasy format. But yeah, Dewsbury Hall is someone I talked about in my recent wildcard videos. I'll talk about this in future podcasts as well. But yeah, with Kai Havertz, that is a good point. I think with Arsenal in general, I'm still a bit sceptical, despite me going all in on them today. And in the Premier League, I've got 0 assets, so that's something I'll look to rectify, particularly after Gemic 36. But we'll discuss this in the Discord server and also in future videos and the live stream on Saturday because, yeah, I think there's still quite a lot to do. I'm going to prepare some graphics and finish that up, so I've got it ready for the content. I'm going to try record a few tomorrow and possibly Thursday as well. Yeah, Brighton assets versus Palace. Yeah, well, Brighton, if you got the likes of Gross, Van Heck, Verbruggen, it's probably worth keeping them, but obviously Palace double. A lot of them will be rotation risks. I think the best Palace options are Munoz, Henderson, and Lacroix. I wouldn't triple up on them defensively, though. We saw that the other day. Arsenal with a promising attack, but Califri just, yeah, boots it over. Yeah, I think with Brighton, you'd probably keep most of the assets in general. Welbeck might not even start the game. And yeah, with Palace, one of Mateta or Sarr could be quite decent for that double, but I just don't really trust any of them. Even Munoz. Good luck as well, Ian. And yes, the green arrow is what we're looking for. Palace players likely not picking next double gamic. It's not necessary. I think 1 or 2 is more than enough. A triple up is arguably overkill. I was going to captain the G-Man, but I was too stressed working on my team balance. Yeah, same here. We'll see how that ends up going, but I just think that decision between Alvarez, Dembele, and Gyökeres is massive this week. And for some people, it will be Diaz, who I already have in my team, so I never had to sort of like think about it. I never had in my mind, you know, the idea of selling Luis Diaz. I have my triple captain this weekend. Yeah, same. I will be triple captaining Erling Haaland. Hopefully I jinx him, but if I get points, then so be it. I keep hearing Alvarez. Yeah, he's quite busy at the moment, and Luis Skelly has just lost it. Oh, wow, and this guy gave the foul to Atlético. Millwall versus Hull, Southampton versus Middlesbrough semi-final playoff. Yeah, interesting stuff there, and obviously Ipswich promoted, and Coventry. Yeah, they won the title by storm. I want Tottenham to be relegated. I don't think they will. And I said this when West Ham were in good form. I think Tottenham will find a way to stay up. But Sunday is massive on both ends of the table. If Arsenal win that, I think West Ham go down. Triple Arsenal defence, Raya, Gabriel and Saliba, or double Arsenal defence, Raya, Gabriel and Saka, Garner, Rodgers, Dewsbury Hall to buy. I'd say double Arsenal defence. But Saka, I know I bought him in UCL Fantasy, but oddly enough, I think he's better in this game than FPL. But not a bad shout, to be fair. I'd probably stick with a double up and go for something a bit different. In terms of the other question, Dewsbury Hall. Never bet on Brighton for anything. Yeah, that's a good one. I thought they'd beat Newcastle, but yeah, they had other ideas. If people want to see World Cup Fantasy, then I'm open to doing it. I think Semenyo is a hold. He could be talked about in my... Oh, shit. Oh, dear, that is not good. Yeah, Arsenal nearly conceded. Yeah, wow. Yeah, I think Semenyo is more of a hold still, but he has been awful for a while now. Mr. Parky says, we are a good team, but goal scorers random and definitely not the worst, but not the best. Yeah, that's why I'm quite happy with my Brighton triple up, even though if I could wildcard now, I probably would get rid of 1 or 2 of them. But Verbruggen, Gross and Van Heck are decent. Welbeck is just a big rotation risk. Villa have one mission to do, but failed to do so. That's Unai Emery for you, and we'll see if it pays off for them. If they go through to the Europa League semi-final, but Nottingham Forest are in great form, and hopefully Forest go through. And that means City will have to face a competitive Villa side rather than one that is just happy to lose 3 or 4-0, which I think Emery would probably do as well. I just don't trust Unai Emery. Palmer replacements, yeah, we'll talk more about this in FPL, of course. We didn't even hit a Super Chat goal, so yeah, I'll save these conversations for later, but I'm looking at either Sarr, and to be fair, Gibbs White was crossing my mind, but he's now injured, and he might not even make it for Gemic 36. But yeah, Gibbs White would have been my top recommendation for sure. I might just go for Sarr for the double Gemic, but I don't really trust him. The only thing about going Captain Saka is I've countered the rival. He is a massive differential still, but I think the ownership might have doubled by this point. A lot of people have been buying him. Hope Millwall, the Prem leadership will brick it. I think I know what you're saying there. You hope Millwall don't go up, which is fair enough. Thank you, Johnny. Dylan, excellent work. For any suggestion, please consider a runner across your feed screen for common answers to questions. Yeah, I've considered that, but I already do a lot of graphics in the build-up to these streams, and to do that as well, it would be a lot. I'm not going to lie to you. And if I'm being honest, even when I highlight messages or I have the captaincy list right in front of people, they still ask the same questions. So, yeah. Maybe one day, but I'm not sure if it's even worth the sort of extra input and graphics when I'm already doing a lot, to be honest with you. Why are Arsenal all over the place? I think nerves. It's probably back to the sort of Arsenal before the Fulham game. They need to settle down a little bit and, yeah, remember what's at stake. Thank you, Drigger. Those guys who had Cherki as captain and had Doku, they are up and running in their mini-league. Yeah, I mean, I captain Haaland, which is fair enough. I would have rather he blanked. Ready to pick Coventry and Ipswich for cheap options? No, not really. But we'll see. It depends on the pricing in July. And I'll be covering that very soon. City draw and Chelsea pasting yesterday was brilliant. Yes, but Everton really should have won. I mean, they created multiple big chances. They went 3-1 up, but they thought they won the game. And yeah, brilliant goal by Doku in the end. But ultimately, City will feel deflated by that. But Arsenal aren't looking great right now. Maybe I shouldn't have bought Gyökeres. Pedro goal cost me in one of my 3 remaining cups. I needed that, but ultimately buying him and Palmer was a disaster for me. I hope Millwall do go up. Fair enough. The suits of the Prem will be worried. I think a lot of people will be worried, not just them. Maybe some West Ham fans, although they'd probably say otherwise. But thanks, everyone. And all the best of luck for Matchday 16 and beyond. We are approaching the very end of the Champions League season, of course. Take care, enjoy the football, and let's get those green arrows, win our mini-leagues, and very soon, double Game Week Phase 6 content will be headed your way on this channel.